It's hilarious to see the humour. Sometimes it perhaps doesn't translate that well from French, but and Digne there calling Dembélé Mosquito. I don't know. I guess that's to do with his stature. I don't know. But whether that's some kind of a private joke or something, I don't know. But Mosquito is the nickname that seems to be accompanying Ousmane Dembélé.
Però clar, no és el primer francès, acabem de veure amb Titi i Diny, però hi ha hagut molts altres jugadors francesos.
Saps qui va ser el primer jugador francès? No sé.
We're talking about other great French players.
No sé si ho he pronunciat.
René Fenouer, this was the first ever French player to play for Barca. That was way back, that was in 1902, I believe.
Molta gent li sonarà més com a entrenador, però va ser jugador del Barça, també va jugar al Real Madrid entre l'any 65 i 68. Laurent Blanc.
There's Laurent Blanc, of course, the elegant centre back here for a season.
A partir d'aquí altres que no han funcionat. Dugarry.
This is Dugarry, who perhaps wasn't such a success when he came to the club. Signed in the time of Van Gaal. Van Gaal never really seemed to have much faith in Dugarry, who'd won the World Cup with France in '98, but didn't really settle into the club that well. Hardly even scored. He had a few good days, but generally wasn't much of a success. This is Frédéric Deu. He was playing in the Legends team recently. There's Dutroel, the goalkeeper. Again, he never really settled into the club. He was one of the players from the era prior to Victor Valdés. Who have we got here? Ah, Petit. Came from Arsenal, and again, another French player that really didn't settle into the club. Christian Val, yes, another French player that perhaps didn't work out that well at the club. There really was a run of French signings that perhaps didn't work out that well, but Ludovic Julie, he certainly was a success story. There's the goal that I think that was to qualify for the Paris Champions League final. There, seen with Jovan Bronckhorst. Julie certainly was a success story, and Thuram came late on in his career, came from Juventus late in his career. Another veteran that came to FC Barcelona, Thierry Henry, but he certainly replicated his brilliance for Arsenal here at FC Barcelona. He had a great, what was it, 2 seasons that he was here at Barca, but there was nothing wrong with Thierry Henry. Fantastic player that joined that golden era, the Ronaldinho era. And of course, there's Eric Abidal that of course means so much to the club. Not only was he a wonderful defender, but of course for everything connected to his fight against cancer, and what a wonderful person he was. We'll never forget the day, of course, when Carlos Puyol didn't touch the Champions League trophy, and in fact gave him the honour of lifting the 2006 Champions League trophy. Eric Abidal, who even scored a goal at the Bernabeu, as you can see, probably one of the greatest moments of his Barca career. There's the images of when he lifted the Champions League trophy. Jeremy Mathieu, he got his job done. He's gone, of course. He's not here anymore. He's playing at Sporting Lisbon. He'll be back at the camp now in the Champions League. Mathieu, there we've got images of him. He certainly scored his goals. In fact, this is what I was talking about earlier on, the double act of Umtiti and Digne. And this, I think, is the quiz that I was talking about, this really funny little video that the 2 French players feature in together. So 2 very endearing characters, and I wonder if from the double act we're now going to get to triple act and see Dembélé joining in with videos, particularly for our French viewers on the website, but we generally translate a lot of the material, and you can see that in English as well, and it's all well worth watching. Just mentioning here how Ludovic Silvestre played one game for FC Barcelona. He was one of the French players that got missed out there, and a little tribute to French players from the past and from the present at FC Barcelona. Oof, well, we've got images now back inside the camp now, where the tension is starting to, the excitement is starting to build, because we're getting closer and closer to the big moment when Mr. Dembélé is going to be presented to the crowd. It's still about an hour until that's due to happen. What we should have brought you by now is the contract signing. There seems to be some delay for some reason. Maybe Dembélé has decided to sit down and read the whole darn thing, which would take some time. One assumes that his agent, his lawyers, etc. have already been through the contract. They know what's there. It's really just now a formality of putting pence to Dembélé is going to be using to show off his juggling skills, and I'm sure that the others are going to be delivered into the crowd by the player. So some of the visitors here today will be getting a little keepsake to take home. What we're discussing here is last time we had some kids from the FCB Escola that came out and did a few training exercises. We're not sure if that is going to be happening again today or not. I don't have any information on that, and it seems like my colleagues that are presenting the program in Catalan don't know either. But there are a set of balls there anyway that are going to be serving some kind of purpose, which all will be revealed later on today.
Del teu tema estrella, que tant hem estat esperant. No, perquè és veritat, molta gent parla, Dembélé és extrem dret, és extrem esquerra, jo tinc la teoria que és esquerrà, però que és veritat que és ambidextre. I parlem del primer extrem de la història del Barça. Sabeu qui és? No. Doncs és difícil, John Parsons. Ens està fent preguntes complicades.
Well, we're talking here of the first wide player. It was John Parsons. He was one of the not quite original FC Barcelona players, but he joined in the second match that Barca played. John Parsons, an English player. This is
entre l'any 1917 i 1936. Un extrem esquerra extraordinari.
Sergi Palma, I believe this player was called. He was another great wide left player. A great winger, played for 19 clubs. Sergi Palma, a very skillful player from a little bit before my era. We're into the 40s. Pepe Bravo, another pure left-footed player. Pepe or Jose Bravo. This was the Mariano Martins team of the 40s. In the 50s, wasn't really an era. We're going into the 60s. Eduard Manchon, a mythical, legendary player of the famous team of the 5 Cups. He too was ambidextrous, and Bazora was another player of the same era. Luis Puyol, another left-footed winger. Perhaps didn't fully triumph at Barca. He went on to Real Zaragoza, in fact, afterwards, and he's a club legend at that club in Aragon. Luis Puyol. We're moving into colour. Marcos Alonso, this is from the 80s. This was a famous goal he scored against the Real Madrid. There we go, Marcos Alonso with that incredible header. Chiqui Begiristain, elegant left winger from the Dream Team era. Of course, now working at Manchester City. Stoichkov perhaps was the player at the strength, scored the goals, but Chiki was very much part of that movement as well. Marcial Pina is ambidextrous left wing player, could score with both legs. He was in the same team as Arsensi, Cruyff, Reshak, those great players of the early 70s. Marcial Pina, that we mentioned early on, one of the most elegant players ever to wear the FC Barcelona. Wonderful the way he used to play with his left and his right, or so I'm told. I have to say I wasn't around in this era to know that, but certainly a legend for being ambidextrous here at FC Barcelona. Marcial Pina, look his name up on Wikipedia.
Tenia la idea de que era dretà, però documentant-me i amb l'opinió de molta gent em diuen que era esquerrà. Jo crec que era ambidextre, Lobo Carrasco.
Lobo Carrasco, another legend at FC Barcelona and also a legend on Spanish television coverage as well. Lobo Carrasco, the Wolf in that team with Archibald, with Lineker. And is that Diego Maradona I can see there?
Aquesta capacitat per driblar, jo és un dels millors dribladors que he vist al Camp Nou. És veritat que el Camp Nou es desesperava una miqueta perquè buscava sempre el dribbling, tenia molta confiança en el seu 1 contra 1.
There's Lobo Carrasco, a familiar face on Spanish media these days, a little more weathered in the face perhaps.
I el podem considerar com un extrem ambidestre. No tenia, evidentment, la potència que té Dembélé, però sí tenia una classe extraordinària. Estem veient alguns gols realment fantàstics.
So we're getting some great images here of Francisco José, the Wolf Carrasco, the great player of the 1980s here at FC Barcelona. Maradona again from that great Barcelona team of the 80s. Here in action, I believe, against Espanyol.
Marcos Alonso i Lobo Carrasco. Un que no va triomfar, però que per mi també és un exemple d'extrem pur.
Here's a player that perhaps, another player that, like some of the French players we mentioned before, perhaps didn't have his finest time of his career in his time at FC Barcelona. Marc Overmars, of course, another of the many players to come to FCB from Arsenal. But things didn't really work out for Overmars here at FCB. And Pedro, of course, we can't forget Pedro. He was a fantastic striker with his left foot and his right foot. The Canary Island, the most recent player before Dembélé to play wide and use both feet. And they've been going through the archives at FC Barcelona looking for players to play for FC Barcelona that are of a similar kind of profile to Ousmane Dembélé, the 20-year-old Frenchman who has signed or is going to sign any second now for FC Barcelona. It's going to become official any moment now. We're hoping to bring you images from the presidential lounge as Ousmane Dembélé puts pen to paper.
S'està sentint ja el nom de Dembélé, aquí també ho comencem a sentir en tots els mitjans de
Okay,
comunicació.
images now are inside the Auditori 1899. You can see the media there, the cameras are there. This is where Dembélé was scheduled, in fact, in about 10 minutes' time. I think things are running a bit behind schedule, but he was scheduled to appear here and say his first words to the cameras. I assume he's going to say his words in French, to the best of my knowledge. He doesn't speak English, doesn't speak Catalan, doesn't speak Spanish. He may surprise us, but I think it's only French. Maybe he's picked up some German in his time at Dortmund. I'm not too sure about his linguistic abilities, but of course all is going to be revealed. But don't worry, I'm here to give you the translation as he speaks.
I veurem què ens pot contar de Dembélé, el nou fitxatge del Barça. Barça?
Not yet, of course, because he's not there. You can see there the Barcelona strip, the helmet away, the cool light sky blue second strip, both with the name of Barca's new sponsor, Rakuten, on the front, of course.
Per la polivalència que també ens donarà el Barça, això.
Sí, jo sempre soc un defensor de la història del Barça, no oblidar-nos, de no pensar que això no ho ha inventat Cruyff, ni Guardiola, ni abans Kubala, vull dir, perquè ningú allò es posi les mans al cap, sinó que el Barça té 118 anys d'història i que hi ha hagut molts casos. Per exemple, aquest de Sergi Barba, jo no sé si la gent el coneix, segurament fas una enquesta i la gent no el coneix, jo crec que ho hauríem de conèixer.
So what we're talking about is going back to those videos that we saw and players like Sergi Barba, and he's talking about how we should know people, and he's sure that most fans wouldn't even know that name. I'm going to be honest and say I hadn't heard that name myself. I'm trying to work out what it is. Sergi Barba, a player from back in the 1940s. So many of these players are just forgotten to the young people, and let's not blame millennials. It's all of us. We don't really remember a lot of the great players of the past. Even some of those players from the 70s, from the 80s, and even the 90s may not be familiar to a lot of the people that are listening in today. It's a shame, but time moves on, and also we don't have room in our heads for the names of all the players that have represented the club over, 118 years of history. We're not encyclopedias.
Com a tècnica, no va ser el millor jugador de la història, però com a espectacle, jo crec que els extrems són sempre espectaculars. Vull dir, en aquest cas Dembélé il·lusiona per això.
So images here live inside the Camp Nou. Cameramen doing a great job here. We're seeing the balls there lined up, which Mr. Dembélé, Ousmane Dembélé, is going to be delivering to the people that are sitting in the stands patiently awaiting today's proceedings.
Comença a escalfar-se l'ambient aquí al Camp Nou.
You can hear that the local MC is warming up the people. It'd be nice to get some coverage of that. We may well do in a moment and see what he's saying to get the people in the stadium warmed up and excited and ready, if they're not excited enough about what they're about to witness, which is going to be the presentation of FC Barcelona's brand new signing, Ousmane Dembélé.
Apropar Messi al gol em sembla que és important. Que tingui la llibertat, com l'hem vist al partit davant l'Alavés, també davant el Betis, de baixar, remenar al mig del camp, que ja ho feia quan jugava.
Talking, of course, about how the arrival of Dembélé actually also should allow Messi some more freedom. That's kind of the idea, to kind of do what used to happen with Neymar and also make it. They really. We've seen that Valverde's been trying different methods, often using just the one out-and-out striker rather than the trident method, the trident method that's been so tried and tested under Luis Enrique and his predecessors.
Sí que és molt pesat amb els seus jugadors, amb el fet de on s'han de posicionar exactament. Amb Dembélé moltes vegades li demanava que rebés per dins, just a l'esquena de la línia defensiva, de la línia de mig del camp de l'equip rival, i això segurament al Barça trobo que ho veurem menys, tot i que aquesta idea de Valverde amb els extrems donant molt de suport precisament a Messi, jugant bastant per dins, és també interessant.
Also talking about the way that Valverde likes his players as wingers, but to play in a more central position, and that should also allow Messi a little bit more freedom.
Judit, ens trobem ja amb un conegut per tots, que és Frederic Traine, del Canal Plus França, y una de las primeras preguntas que te tenemos que hacer es ¿cómo se ha vivido este fichaje, Francia?
Bueno, ha sido un poco el segundo episodio después de la saga Neymar en Paris Saint-Germain. 222 millones para el brasileño, ahora 145 para Dembélé. Es un francés, estamos orgullosos de que venga en el Barça, pero es verdad que las cifras nos dan un poco de vértigo, sobre todo que se habla ahora de Mbappé en el Paris Saint-Germain por 180, o sea que Dembélé entra en este juego de ser el segundo fichaje más caro de la historia del fútbol. Un poco, te digo, da un poco de vértigo y de curiosidad, porque es un jugador que hace 2 años jugaba a segunda casi y ahora pues está en el Gran Barça. para sustituir a Neymar. También tenemos la sensación de que en Francia sí puede, tiene mucha calidad, pero tiene 20 años, tendrá que adaptarse. Bueno, mucha curiosidad, mucha expectación y pues me imagino que nosotros, por ejemplo, lo damos en directo desde la cadena InfoSport Plus, tanto la rueda de prensa como la presentación, bueno, para darte la sensación de que es en Francia este fichaje para el Gran Barça, por supuesto.
Bueno, pero es un jugador que promete, como decíamos, joven, que tiene mucha proyección, ¿no? Es decir, aquí también puede aportar mucho al Barça, ¿no?
Puede aportar mucho, como dice Valverde, puede aportar profundidad al juego, puede jugar con las dos piernas, puede jugar en los dos lados, puede jugar en el centro, tiene un regateo muy rápido, o sea que le faltaría un poco de definición al final de las jugadas, pero eso lo va a aprender aquí con los jugadores que tiene a su alrededor. He visto que estará en las taquillas de Iniesta y Piqué, o sea que tiene profesores aquí y bueno, jugando con Messi y Suárez va a ser, o sea, vamos a ver un poco cómo va a evolucionar, pero tiene proyección y tiene calidad y estamos con mucha curiosidad de ver cómo se va a adaptar y lo que va a aportar al Barça efectivamente.
Bueno, el Barça, como ya sabemos, él sí que desde muy pequeño decía que es muy aficionado al Barça, era fan del Barça. Supongo que ha visto cómo se ha cumplido un sueño, ¿no?
Sí, claro, para cualquier jugador jugar en el Barça es mucho, quizá para un jugador francés todavía más, ¿eh? No son muchos los franceses, hay 22 creo en la historia del club que han jugado y los que han triunfado son pocos, así que pues viene con este misa.
About the responsibility of being an FC Barcelona player, because particularly in the days of social media with so many microphones going around, how careful players have to be about making sure that they don't say the wrong things. It's so easy to slip things out accidentally, to accidentally get the wrong idea and publish the wrong tweet or say the wrong thing. So that's another aspect probably where Dembélé is going to need to be versed, because he's obviously had it at Dortmund, playing at a high-profile club, but it really is another step up when you come to FC Barcelona.
Això ho ha de millorar, molt evidentment, perquè no és un jugador amb molta capacitat per robar pilota, però l'actitud és bona i això és important.
But they're talking about how he does have a very positive attitude, very much that if you have the right attitude, it really makes things better. And he's a player that tends to stay out of trouble, doesn't really bother referees, tends to concentrate just on playing football, playing the game, and that's the kind of person that we like here at FC Barcelona, that just concentrates on playing football, winning games of football, winning points, and ultimately winning trophies. And that is what Dembélé says he's here for. As he said in his interview last night, one of the main reasons he's come here is because he wants to help the team to win more trophies, a team that he has wanted to play for since he was a kid. He confirmed that to the cameras last night, and one assumes he's going to be confirming that yet again later on today.
Tocam aquesta que té Sergio Busquets i acaba robant pilotes. Doncs en aquest sentit, aquest futbolista Ousmane Dembélé és semblant, té la cama molt llarga.
I això és important, eh? Això és important perquè el Barça, un problema que ha tingut aquests últims anys, és que els tres de dalt no els hi podies demanar molt compromís defensiu i l'equip es trencava. Si Dembélé té aquest compromís, encara que evidentment tots esperem el 90% virtuts ofensives, però si té aquest compromís, per Valverde això serà important.
Jo crec que a nivell
Talking about the word commitment here in Dembélé, and the commitment of dropping back as well, and because he's a player that does win the ball as well, and so as long as he can do that.
Com ha canviat en aquests 4 anys, sí, sí.
Però per què? Per una qüestió de dir...
And talking about how perhaps that's been one of the areas where Delafeu hadn't in the past been doing as much as perhaps he should have done, which is dropping back and not just basically goal hanging up front. And that's something which we've seen change just in the few games since he's been back here at FC Barcelona. That commitment to the whole team and realising that your job is not just to be up front, but to drop back and help. And that comes with humility. And they're talking about how Dembélé is very much the kind of player that fits that kind of profile. Okay, we're watching our colleagues, but I'm sure that just like me, you're also watching what's going on in the background there as they're setting up the backdrop, which is going to be where Dembélé is going to be appearing shortly.
Perquè té capacitat per fer-ho, no és un jugador que xuti malament, però és veritat pel que...
We've got images now. We've seen these images earlier on today. We're presumably going to be seeing these again. These are images of Dembélé in his days playing for Borussia Dortmund in a big win against Wolfsburg. There you can see him tapping away with his right foot. We've spoken a lot about the ambidextrous nature of the play. We're not even sure, is he left-footed or is he right-footed? Because he plays with the left, he shoots with his right. Question of offside, in fact, of this goal.
Que tenen arribada, que tenen gol, Rakitic també té gol, segurament no li hem de posar la pressió de dir has de marcar 20 gols per temporada.
We're going to get a replay. Let's see what you think. You think this goal's offside?
Però evidentment que la resta t'acompanyaran. Tu tens Suárez i tens Messi. En això pots estar tranquil de que no... Neymar l'any passat.
No. Hard to call. It went down in the book anyway.
Jo li demano que desequilibri. Més que el dia que guanyem 5-0 marqui 2 gols, està bé, però li demano que el dia que vagi 0-0, partits importants, que et faci aquella jugada desequilibrant, que després la marqui Messi o Suárez, però que desequilibri defenses tancades, sobretot contra bons equips, perquè en partits...
Talking about how important it is for a player like Dembélé, that you really need your strikers to rise to the occasion, and sometimes, just may not be working out for Messi, may not be working out for Suárez, and then you got Dembélé. So when you've got 3 top quality players like that up front, as was the case, of course, with the MSN before, it's very hard to find a day when not one of your 3 strikers clicks and delivers. It just opens up the options so much for Valverde up front. We're seeing a collection of some of the goals that Dembélé scored last season in the Borussia Dortmund shirt. These ones against SV Hamburg. That one scored with his left foot. In fact, you would have expected him to struck that one with his right, but in fact, no, he turns and uses his left there, so that kind of cancels out what we've been saying before about him always shooting with his right. But of course, he shoots with either foot, which is what makes things so difficult for opposing defenders and goalkeepers alike.
Sí, no recordo exactament la seva estadística, però jo els que li he vist llançar normalment els ha marcat.
There's another goal against Wolfsburg. He scored both home and away against Wolfsburg. Questionable goalkeeping there, perhaps.
Xuta bé les faltes, però que evidentment tampoc era el llançador oficial de les faltes directes al Borussia Dortmund, evidentment no ho serà ara tampoc.
És que al Barça això acostuma a passar. Arriben jugadors molt tècnics.
We're just saying he's a player that does take free kicks, although that's not necessarily his speciality. He does take penalties as well. Whether he'll be doing that FC Barcelona, one doubts. But in fact, he always takes penalties with his right foot. But again, that's something that really confuses goalkeepers when you don't even know which foot the penalty taker is going to be using.
Però vaja, no és per això que l'hem fitxat per llançar faltes ni corners, però sí que quants més registres tingui, millor per a tots.
Again, corners as well. He doesn't tend to score from corners, but he can do. So he's a player in all kinds of different aspects. He's going to help bolster this FC Barcelona squad. I don't think there's anybody that doubts that. I think generally the reaction to this signing has been positive, 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 and positive. Certainly looking at the messages on the FC Barcelona Twitter, for example, I think everybody seems very, very excited. Also on Facebook the other day, it was just positive messages from everybody when we were doing the Facebook Live in the game, the training session ahead of the Alaves game.
Que en certs moments, en un context determinat, li pot donar coses al Barça i la gent ha d'estar tranquil·la perquè, insistim, hi ha partits, moments i competicions de sobre perquè el Barça vagi repartint minuts entre tota la plantilla que tindrà.
I ens dona també opcions diferents, com per exemple la de jugar de doble pivot, Paulinho. És a dir, que una miqueta estem una miqueta acostumats a parlar sempre del 11 titular o 11 de gala i aquesta temporada, com dius tu, per l'exigència també física del futbol de Valverde, potser no hi ha tant l'11 titular i veiem molts més moviments i molts plantejaments.
What's happening in the stadium at the moment is the announcer is getting the people to move. I'm not sure exactly why, but I believe it's just to try and disperse the people a bit more to make room for other people from outside, something like that. And now he's getting us all excited by getting us to scream the name of Ousmane Dembélé. Of course, there's a buzz of excitement here at FC Barcelona because of last night's Real Madrid game. Real Madrid, of course, held to 2-2 in a thrilling game against Valencia last night. Means Barcelona one of just 3 teams that have come out of their first 2 fixtures unscathed with 100% records. The other 2, Real Sociedad and Leganés. Surprisingly, Leganés won away to Espanyol. Espanyol, of course, Barca's next opponents in La Liga. That's not until the 9th of September because we've got the international break coming up. Real Sociedad on goal difference, top of the league at the moment, but that's 3 teams with 6 points. Real Sociedad, Barça and Leganés.
I jo crec que serà molt bo, això que dèiem, que Deschamps no l'ha convocat i que tindrà ara un parell de setmanes per aclimatar-se.
These are the images we're now seeing for the 3rd time today of Ousmane Dembélé arriving at El Prat Airport last night, about 5:30 Central European time. His flight touched down. No sooner had he come out of the gate and presumably been through passport control, etc., that the Barca TV media were there waiting for him, as well as some fans that we saw getting selfies. Then it was straight into a car to be transferred to this place. This is the Camp Nou. These are the club offices. This is a very traditional part of Portugal for every new signing to appear in front of the club crest outside the offices and to appear with the 3 flags, the flag of Catalonia, the flag of FC Barcelona and the flag of the city of Barcelona. That's the red and white one.
Repartint aquests variables i de més, però segurament ja supera ara Pogba com el segon fitxatge més car de la història després.
These, I believe, are images from this morning. Yes, they are, of Dembélé when he arrived at Hospital de Barcelona, Barcelona's hospital. Not the only hospital in Barcelona, but one of the biggest hospitals in the city, and where it's traditional, or has been traditional certainly in recent years, for players to go and do their first part of their medical examinations. These images were around about 9 o'clock, 9:30 this morning at Barcelona Hospital, where Dembélé underdid his medical checks.
Factor sorpresa contra el rival, difícil de marcar, un jugador que sembla que il·lusiona molt als aficionats per la seva manera de jugar i també per la projecció que té.
Una cosa que moltes vegades no som conscients, és veritat que el futbol professional és molt diferent al futbol base, però quan avui en dia es diu jugador de només 20 anys, és veritat que a nivell professional és molt poc, però avui en dia els jugadors comencen a jugar amb 6 anys.
I'm not sure who that is in his company. Maybe it's his brother. I don't know. But, the guy next to him has appeared in most of these videos. We can see him coming out of the hospital after taking the first part of his medical. The cameras aren't allowed in to film that part. And there's a fan who's actually already bought the Barca Dembélé shirt. After that, he was taken to the Ciutat Esportiva, which of course is the FC Barcelona training ground, but it's also where the FC Barcelona medical services are located, and that was where the player took the second part of his medical this morning. We've got images of those that we're about to show you now.
De les tàctiques que tenen, del que treballen. Vull dir que, atenció, quan es diu no, només porta 2 anys a nivell professional. És cert, hi ha un salt entre futbol base i futbol professional, però aquest salt cada cop és menor. Tu veus una competició de cadets a nivell mundial, la Nike Premier Cup, hi ha moltes competicions.
Here he is arriving, being filmed there by my colleague Rafa Stat. And coming into the Ciutat Esportiva. Images these from this morning at around about 11 o'clock when the player took his medical examination. These are images of him getting kitted up ready for that test in the physiotherapy room. Routine tests, these are the same things that players always have to do when they sign for the club, and indeed at the start of every season. There's absolutely no reason for concern. And no news is generally good news in these situations. We've not heard any reports back from the medical staff, so one assumes that means that everything has gone to plan. The player has got all his bits in the right places. He's fit, he's ready, and keen to start playing for FC Barcelona, something he'll be doing as soon as he signed his contract, which he should have signed by now. It's now 1:15. He was due to sign it at 12:30. But you can rest assured that we will be bringing images of that as soon as it happens.
Que a vegades hi ha millors entrenadors a categories alevins, infantils o cadets que a primera divisió. Perquè a primera divisió tens molt bons futbolistes.
Dembélé there seems very keen to check his height there. You see he was doing the height test, then turning around to have a look. Oh, good, I'm still the same height as I was yesterday. That's good to know. Generally taking everything in his stride, a bit of a bemused look on his face sometimes. One assumes he's done this kind of thing countless times before, although perhaps not with cameras following every move he makes.
I té un bon cap, que això és difícil, però si té aquestes dues coses, talent i té personalitat, escolta'm, endavant, endavant, hem de ser valents, hem de ser molt valents. Jo reclamo, jo dic que hem de ser valents amb els joves perquè els joves estan molt més preparats ara que abans. És veritat que tenen molta competència al Barça, aquesta és la gran contradicció. Tu tens els millors joves, però tens també la millor competència.
Just to remind you of what the schedule was originally for our live coverage, it was to bring you at 12:30 the signing of his contract, but that's obviously not the case. It's now 17 minutes past 1 and we've not seen images of the contract being signed, so that's going to happen any moment now. That's going to be followed by Dembélé appearing in the Auditori 1899 to say his first words after officially signing, and after that he's going to be going down onto pitch level to appear for the fans and to appear on the stage that he is just out of shot to Judith's right, our left, and in fact just behind our colleague here down by the stage, who's talking about how spectacular the atmosphere here is. It reminds him of the day when Ronaldinho was presented, or Thierry Henry, Ibrahimovic, and the Dembélé signing seems to be generating just the same kind of excitement.
Saben vostès que al Camp Nou, quan està buit, poden veure aquí aquesta segona graderia el nom de Futbol Club Barcelona.
He's talking about how there's so many people in here that you can't see the words FC Barcelona. I was under the understanding that it was limited seating inside here. I'm not too sure what the situation is there, but Pep Callao is down doing his job, warming up the fans. There's huge expectation. You can see the crowds here. There's, what would we say there, about 3,000, 4,000 people here to watch Dembélé. Confirmation that things are a little behind schedule at the moment. Don't worry, we're going to be staying here to bring you live coverage of everything as it happens. Benvingut, that's welcome in Catalan. Bienvenido in Spanish to Ousmane Dembélé.
I qui pugui blocar aquesta pilota que sortirà des de la gespa cap a la tribuna. Continuem esperant aquí la presència d'Ousmane Dembélé a la gespa del Camp Nou.
So yeah, we're still waiting here for Ousmane Dembélé to arrive. Talking how there could easily be 4,000-5,000 people here. We've got some kids there, I assume, from FCBARCELONA. So perhaps we are going to be seeing what we saw with the Paulinho presentation the other day, when these young kids from FCBARCELONA joined Paulinho and kicked the ball around. My colleague here is saying 12,000 people, he reckons, in the stadium at the moment. I think that's perhaps an overestimation.
És veritat que falta la tribuna inferior, però estem parlant que si és un quart de camp i són 100.000 persones, 25.000 seria un quart de camp, i a la meitat de 25.000, per mi estarem per les 10.000, jo crec.
I veiem les fotografies...
He reckons, based on how much seating space is taken up in the mini estadi, where he's a regular because he covers the Barca B matches, that there's about 12,000 people in the stadium. I personally think it's possibly a little less than that, but the estimates ranging enormously from 4,000 to 12,000. But no, I think 12,000 is a bit of an overestimation. But no, we're getting my colleagues here arguing over how many people are in the stadium at the moment. What we can see here is the faces of the people here that are here to enjoy or will be here to enjoy when it happens, the presentation of FC Barcelona's signing Ousmane Dembélé.
I les celebracions, connecta molt amb la gent jove, la forma de vestir fins i tot, que al final són coses importants per connectar amb la gent més jove, i de fet, si fas una...
A lot of young people in the stands here. I remember still school holidays here in Barcelona.
Avui pots anar a la platja,
and
està bé, o pots venir aquí al Camp Nou.
Not sure what's happening with this young child.
Estem patint una miqueta amb la calor, però estem bé, escolta.
He's got Dembélé's name and number 11. My colleagues are talking about how they could do some water. I could do some water myself down here. My throat's starting to dry up. I might have to sneak off and go and find some water in a moment. Our friend here again, he's asking people to move across to the wings.
Perquè en la tribuna ja no hi cap ningú més, el que deia el Xuscarrillo, que hi ha fins i tot gent a les escales, cosa que
Xuscarrillo is finding that there are people gathering on the stairways and how people need to start moving across wide to create space for people inside.
Aquests ja els hi toca el sol, tota la gent que hi havia fins al moment tenien ombra, però aquests ja els hi tocarà el sol, per tant patiran la calor.
He's talking about how some of the people are lucky enough to be in the shade, but others are sitting directly under the sun there, so they're probably going to be starting to suffer a bit because it is bakingly hot. I'm forgetting that because I'm in an air-conditioned room at the moment. It's bakingly hot for those people sitting out there. Also bakingly hot for my colleagues that are presenting the program in Catalan. They've actually started talking about Barca B, who are in action this evening. I think it's Tenerife. Yeah, they're home to Tenerife at 9 o'clock Central European time.
I dades positives sobre Ousmane Dembélé. Va ser escollit millor jugador de la Liga francesa la temporada.
And if they do win that, Barcelona B would be the only team. It's extraordinary, really, that after the first round of games in the second division, not one team has won both their games. Looking at the table, it's all... that also goes the other way. Not one team has lost their opening two games. So does that suggest that the second division is going to be crackingly tight at the moment? Barca B playing Tenerife in the only pending game. Later on today, Barca B and Tenerife both won their opening games. Whoever wins that game will go top of the table. Imagine that, Barca B top of the second division. Of course, Barca B can't get promoted because the reserve team can never get promoted to the same category as their first team. Similar situation for Sevilla Atletico, who is the Sevilla B team. They also play in the second division. They can't get promoted either. Well, you can see how it's spread across. I think what they were saying about limited seating seems to have been forgotten. Seems like anyone's welcome in here. And as you can see now, people are coming out. We've opened up the wings, so to speak. And, well, yeah, I think now you could say there possibly are 12,000 people in the stadium. As you can see, there's people still flocking in. The original idea was just to open the normal area, which has normally been open for presentations. there were such huge numbers have come to the stadium to see Dembélé's presentation today that I think they've decided to open up the gates, and in they come. And yeah, there probably are about 12,000 people here in the ground, which is not bad. 12,000 people for a presentation of a player. And speaking of presentations, that's the Audi car that's going to be presented to the new signing later on today as well. Well, it's 12 here now in Barcelona, and still no sign of Dembélé signing his contract. The pronunciation issue is something I really do need to clear up. I believe Dembélé is the closest rendition that we could come up with in English. If you prefer Dembélé.
Fins i tot, però insisteixo que és complicat.
És molt diferent a Mbappé, per exemple, tant que es parla d'Mbappé.
A veure, hi ha una cosa que els diferencia molt i és que per mi en espai reduït...
People still swarming into the ground as it moves further and further into the wings. If it's 12,000 people in here, it could be moving up now into the region of 13, 14,000. Yeah, this does remind us of some of the great presentations of the past. Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, Romario, Ibrahimovic in his day. The presentation of some of the great signings, and Dembélé seems to be up there with them. Huge expectation. Let's not lie about this. The expectation over this signing clearly much bigger than it was for any of the other arrivals of the season so far. That's also partly because the presentations of the other players, well, in fact, Paulinho was the only player to be presented, was right at the heart of holiday season when most locals were away. Most people are now back at work, looking forward or not looking forward to, as the case may be, to another year of the grind.
És que Henry no era tan bon driblador com és ara Dembélé, per exemple. Henry tenia més gol, per això feia
Let's
diagonal.
get a Mexican wave going. Always does a great job of warming up the crowd. Does Pep, I believe his name is, the guy who does this emceeing in the stadium. Does such a good job because obviously there's nothing for these people to look at the moment. They're just looking at an empty pitch. But this is certainly livening up the atmosphere, getting people excited for the arrival of Ousmane Dembélé, which could be anything up to an hour from now, because he was scheduled to take an hour between the signing of his contract and getting out here in front of the fans. Hopefully things will start moving a little quicker. We know that Ousmane is in the house, so to speak, because we saw an image of him appearing, peeping over the balcony. But that was a good hour ago. He peeped out looking very dapper in a very elegant suit. But there's been no sign of him since. But rest assured that as soon as our cameras do pick up the elusive Frenchman, you'll be getting images of them here live on FCBARCELONA.com. Don't forget, there's a lot else to look forward to as well. We've got the media press conference that was scheduled to start at 2:30. I think it's probably going to be a little later than that now. That's the media conference, which is when first of all, we'll get a chance for the player to, in a more relaxed atmosphere, speak to the microphones, and then he'll be asked different questions about his arrival, what he expects from the club, what he expects to do at the club, how he expects to fit into what he himself has described as the best club in the world, where he himself has said he's playing against the best players in the world, a club that he himself said last night that he has dreamt of playing for ever since he was a young child, way in Vernon in the north of France. That's where he was born.
Pot fer una diagonal o fins i tot pot rebre ella i de primera xutar des d'una posició proper a la frontal de l'àrea, i aquest xut amb una mica de rosca et dona la possibilitat, si està jugant a cama canviada, de fer-ho. Ara hi ha pocs extrems, com bé dius, i tant si juga a la dreta com a l'esquerra, com controla molt bé les dues cames, tindràs el doble perfil amb Dembélé, que podrà tirar a la diagonal i podrà també marxar per velocitat de l'1 contra 1 i fer...
I per mi la diferència, per mi, que triomfi o no triomfi, a més de, evidentment, el cap, és quan tinguem equips tancats al darrere, tinguem possessió de pilota, no trobem solucions i li enviem la pilota, ell enganxat a la banda amb un o dos jugadors, serà capaç de marxar, serà capaç de buscar una solució i trobar a Messi i a Suárez en condicions. Si fa això, triomfa segur. Si no ho fa, pot aportar altres coses, però no triomfarà tan gran. Si aconsegueix això, per mi això és el més difícil de trobar avui en dia en el món del futbol. Aquest desequilibri en el joc estàtic.
So it's a wonderful atmosphere here at the Camp Nou. We're bringing you live coverage of the presentation of Ousmane Dembélé. He was born in a place called Vernon. I was curious, I'm just having a look on Google Maps to find out exactly where it is. It's up in the north of France, very close to the Vaccin Francais National Park, about halfway between Paris and Rouen. And not far from Le Havre as well, which is a place where I believe the ferry from Southampton does not pull into Le Havre, but it's up there in the north of France, a lovely part of the world up there.
No sé fins a quan arribarem.
Hi ha també gent fins i tot a la zona al costat de les cabines
Not
de ràdio.
too far from Paris.
A la zona de premsa hi ha gent, no sé si és gent de premsa pròpiament o són aficionats que han...
We're getting images of our MC colleague here warming up the fans, getting them ready for the arrival of the player here on the turf. It's not going to be happening for a while yet because, first of all, he's going to have to officially sign his contract, which hasn't happened yet. We're still waiting for images of the player in the company of Josep Maria Bartomeu, the president, one assumes, up in the presidential suite, signing his contract. We haven't seen those images yet, but we shall bring them to you as soon as we have them. You can rest assured of that.
Per mi, aquesta xifra ja m'ho diu tot. O sigui, el jugador que més dribla d'Europa, per mi això ja m'ho diu tot. Perquè
here's a stat. The player who made the most individual solo runs, the most dribbles completed in the major European leagues of last year was Ousmane Dembélé. That's a stat that speaks for himself, for itself. He's a player that pretty much could have been a better player to fill the shoes of he who shall not be named. Perhaps we don't need to give Neymar the entire Voldemort treatment there, but let's not kid ourselves. Neymar is a player that does need to be replaced, and what better way of replacing him than with this young 20-year-old who everybody in Europe has been talking about, touted as one of the great players, a French national. I'm sure there are so many people around the world that are wishing that Ousmane Dembélé was from their own country. Certainly leaves the front line of the French national team in very safe hands indeed. We're getting some whistles in the stadium. I think a few people are starting to get impatient. They want to know when things are going to happen. I'm afraid I'm unable to tell you either.
A l'hora que Dembélé assolís aquest primer pas per arribar al futbol professional.
Doncs si us sembla anem a repassar una miqueta com han estat aquestes primeres hores de Dembélé al Barça. Tenim moltíssimes ganes de veure el trepitjar la gespa del Camp Nou, però és que el jugador va arribar ahir a Barcelona, procedent d'Alemanya. Aquí el tenim, arribant a l'aeroport, les primeres imatges d'arribant a Barcelona, un jugador que fa 2 temporades, qui li hauria dit que estaria jugant al Barça al costat de Leo Messi, de Luis Suárez, un jugador que coneix molt bé un ex-blaugrana, perquè hi ha un jugador que va estar a les categories inferiors del Barça que el tenim per nosaltres per parlar de Dembélé i estem parlant de Xendrí, Teo Xendrí.
Li tinc molt de carinyo a aquest noi perquè la Masia és una gran fàbrica de futbolistes i les persones són molt importants i Teo Xendrí és de les millors persones que he conegut de la Masia. Teo, ens escoltes? Bona tarda, què tal, com estàs? Teo Xentri, perquè la gent ho sàpiga, va ser jugador a les categories inferiors del Barça. Quants anys hi vas estar, Teo? I tu ets una mica una de les víctimes de la sanció FIFA, que et va perjudicar quan començaves a agafar-li el to, no et van deixar jugar, tot i complir tots els requisits, però vaja, no entrarem en això, però vas estar tot i això, tens un bon record de la teva estada al Barça. Teo, una pregunta molt fàcil.
Okay, we're speaking here to non-player Teo Xentri.
I els aficionats pensen, sí, mira, això està molt bé, però això, escolta'm, potser també volia jugar al Madrid, volia jugar al Milan. Tu ho saps, tu el coneixes.
He's saying, how long have you known this player? Because players tend to just come to play at teams and say it's always been their dream to play for Barcelona, but would he have said the same if he'd gone to Milan or Real Madrid?
Sí, et sentim.
My colleagues can't hear him, but I can. He's saying people may think that he's just signed for the club, but he's saying that because he knows he has to say that, but I've known him since playing at youth level. And I can tell you that he always spoke about Barca, how much he watches Barca, how he always liked to know about Barca, how he'd always wanted to play for Barca. It's something he said ever since a very, very young age. So when he says he's wanted to play for Barca since he was a kid, he's not just saying that like happens so often. And he said that he couldn't let this opportunity slip. His dream was to play alongside Messi wearing a Barca shirt. And he's done everything he can to make that dream come true. He's super happy.
Què té Dembélé que li pugui aportar al Barça?
He's a very similar player to Neymar, very strong in the one-on-one, good at breaking into space, very unpredictable. You never know what he's going to do. He's very complete all-rounder in transitions as well. When I played with him as a youngster, he was very difficult to predict. I think he's the kind of player that's going to work well for Barca. I think he'll slot into the scheme of things very well indeed. And he's not worried about how he can get on. Ousmane is the kind of man who fits in with everybody, gets on with everybody. Off the pitch, he likes joking. He's always playing around. He's fun to be with, a really nice person.
Ja saps que tu que coneixes l'estil de joc del Barça i el coneixes a ell, creus que és un jugador fàcil d'adaptar-se?
And he adapts very quickly. He's very intelligent. He won't have any problem. If he likes the way Barca play, then he'll adapt to it very well. And from outside, he certainly already is an admirer of the way Barca play. So I don't think there will be any problems in terms of adaptation. I call him Ouz. That's his nickname, Ouz. Mosquito, I think that's a nickname when he plays for France. But at club level, no, we've never called him that. I think the Mosquito nickname is amongst his colleagues for the French national team.
Doncs suposo que li deus desitjar molta sort, però Teo, com t'estan anant les coses al Nantes a tu? Aprofitem per parlar amb tu també de la teva situació.
Asking about Teo himself, who's now at Nantes. He's gone back to France. Played last week, scored. so he's fine. He's training well. Things are going extremely well for him. Feeling well about the way the new season is going for him.
Gràcies, Teo. I com ens comentava, doncs, gràcies, Teo. Doncs un jugador que ens confirma que ja fa molt temps que li deia aquesta passió que té pel Barça.
És que a més, Teo Xandri, ho deia, de les millors persones que he conegut, és una persona que arriba al Barça, que té el problema de la FIFA, que després se li va tallar una mica la progressió. Un jugador que jugava al Barça d'extrema esquerra, una mica estil Iniesta.
If you're wondering who was speaking that was Teo Xandri. He's a young French player who was at FC Barcelona in the youth system. In fact, he still is officially, although at the moment he's training with FC Nantes.
Bruno, ara amb Dembélé, una generació extraordinària. Teo Xandri és també un bon jugador, és un jugador no tan espectacular, però és un jugador tècnicament molt bo, i és interessant el que ens ha dit.
Now our MC in the stadium is having a chat to these young lads. I believe they're from FCBARCELONA, getting their opinions about what's going on today.
Estàvem parlant d'això, de la competència que tindrà la selecció francesa, però fins i tot a categories inferiors.
Very much as these occasions tend to be an occasion for the children. When we've seen images of the faces in the crowd, you can see a large number of those are children. Still the summer holidays here in Barcelona. These kids, we believe, are from FCBARCELONA, and if what happened against Paulinho, when Paulinho was presented, is to be repeated, then those players are going to be having a little kick around with the new signing, Dembélé. So some people getting a bit of a roasting here. Those aren't lucky, that are not lucky enough to be in the shaded part of the stands. The temperature's pretty much around about 30 degrees. Here we're seeing Dembélé speaking yesterday. I'm happy, very happy to be here, very happy to form part of this great club. I've always wanted to play for Barca. I'm very happy. Playing with the best players in the world, playing at this club that's won so many titles. To be able to play for the best club in the world is an honor. It's a dream. I am happy to be here with so many great players. Now I have to integrate with the group, and I want to give everything I can for the club and for my colleagues. I want to win as many trophies as possible with FC Barcelona. You may say that those were the same old tired cliches that players come up with all the time, but as we heard from the Lion's Mouth, Teo Xandri, a player who's trained alongside him, he's not just saying that for the sake of the cameras. Ousmane Dembélé has always wanted to play for FC Barcelona. It's always been his dream, it's always been his ultimate destiny, and that destiny has finally come true for him. Here he is today, the day of his official presentation as an FC Barcelona player.
Si et falla una de les tres potes, per molt que siguis Maradona amb els peus, Maradona era un exemple, que potser no era el més intel·ligent, però vaja, avui en dia tu pots ser Maradona de la vi, que no arribes a triomfar si no tens un bon cap.
Tenir el cap per triomfar és absolutament...
Well, I'm not sure I should translate what's just been said. They said that the players are very... that Dembélé in many ways is a similar player to Diego Maradona, but with intelligence, insinuating that Diego was, or is, not endowed with the greatest of intelligence, which some might argue with. So we're getting images inside the stadium. We don't have an exact figure on how many people are in here, but we're talking about something in the region of 12,000, maybe even more. When we consider that that's probably about twice as much as what was expected, I think that goes to show what expectation and excitement there is at the club over the signing of Ousmane Dembélé at FC Barcelona, and something that we're delighted to be able to bring to you live.
Aquí no tindrem un cas Anelka, per exemple, que li va passar al Madrid, d'un jugador que arriba i fracassa en aquest sentit de falta d'adaptació.
Sí, el test de la Champions que dèiem abans, és a dir, Dembélé ja saps que ha jugat partits al Bernabéu, que els ha jugat al camp del Mónaco l'any passat, al camp del Benfica, i que et pot respondre.
Talking about Dembélé's experience in the Champions League, he's already played at places like the Santiago Bernabéu, so he's clearly not intimidated by being in front of a lot of people. And speaking of a lot of people, look how full the stadium is getting, where pretty much that entire tier going around the whole half of the stadium there is full. We're getting to the stage where some of the people are going to be so far to the wings that they're not even going to get to see anything. Huge crowd here in the Camp Nou. I would say this is one of the biggest turnouts for a presentation for many years here at FC Barcelona. So that goes to show what excitement there is over the arrival of this player.
Sí, Deco, Ronaldinho, ara mateix el cas de Ben Yedder al Sevilla, el tenim un davanter que té molts gestos tècnics del futbol sala.
Well, it's now exactly 1:45. This is the time when I did promise that he would be appearing on the field. But what we haven't seen are images of him signing his contract or giving his initial speech to the media. So, unless there's been a change of programme, let's not get our hopes up too high that he's going to be appearing for some time soon. But, of course, you're watching on TV, and we're going to be bringing images for you of the contract signing as soon as it happens. As you've seen, we've seen images of the player this morning having his medical test at Hospital Barcelona and at the Ciutat Esportiva. We've also seen images of the player arriving last night at the airport. He arrived at about 5:30 and was transferred directly to the Camp Nou for his first butchers of the stadium. He's had a little look around and he's posed for photographs by the club crest. We'll be seeing those images, I'm sure, again at some point during today's proceedings. Well, our MC had gone quiet on us. He's now rousing the people inside the stadium for the forthcoming events, which we're going to be bringing to you live here where you're watching now. Don't go away.
Són d'un nivell extraordinari. En altres països no és el mateix. I ho veiem al Barça a la Youth League, que a vegades el nom dels equips dius no, jugues contra el Manchester United, i potser el juvenil del Manchester United molt fluixet. En canvi, a França, equips que no tenen nom tenen un futbol base, unes acadèmies espectaculars, i això fa que surtin grans jugadors.
Això parla encara més en favor d'Ousmane Dembélé, el nou fitxatge del Barça.
What my colleagues were just talking about then, in fact, was the extraordinary level of youth football in France. Dared to say that it's much better than the youth system in England was cited as an example. How wonderful it is to see so many young players coming out of France time and time and time again, and it's reflected by the fantastic performances by the French national team time and time again.
Per començar una miqueta, no sé si estàs d'acord, Bruno, pels la solidesa, que sigui un equip sòlid, la pressió, i després ja tindrem més
fluidesa. Of course, you don't need me to tell me what images these are. We're getting images here of FC Barcelona yesterday. No, it was on Saturday against Alaves. Barca perhaps haven't got off to the most spectacular of starts, but that's 2 wins out of 2, which is more than many clubs can say. In fact, only 2 other clubs can say that, and they're Real Sociedad and Levante, the only 2 other clubs with 6 points after the first 2 weeks of football action in La Liga. Images there that, of course, need no explanation. The minute silence in recognition of the victims of the horrific terror attack in Las Ramblas in Barcelona city centre.
L'hem vist molt a prop del gol, recordem, al primer partit 3 xuts al pal i al segon partit 2 gols.
És que sumen 4
followed by a round of applause and respectfully observed by both teams and by the supporters in Mendizorroza, Alaves' home stadium.
Clar, però no està Luis Suárez. Potser fins a quin punt el fet que ell hagi vist que no està l'uruguaià diu haig de fer una mica de Messi i haig de fer una mica de Suárez. Quan torni el seu amic Luis Suárez, ell dirà, mira, jo torno a ser Messi, perquè Messi és això.
Moments of emotion before Saturday's game away to Alaves. And now, action for you to enjoy from the game if you haven't already seen these highlights. If you haven't seen this video, you can also see these highlights on the official website.
Però tinc dubtes de que el veiem a la banda dreta.
No, a la banda dreta
Jo crec que no el veurem ja a la banda dreta.
És que l'any passat ja no el vam veure a la banda dreta. Sí. Això de l'esquema aquest tàctic inicial que posava Messi dreta, Suárez...
I'm sure most of you were watching this game. It wasn't the most action-packed of first halves.
No, però això ens va molt bé els periodistes, però no era la realitat. No era la realitat.
I a més, això li va...
In the second half,
I tant. És que se l'agafa ell, també.
things clicked, and it's not, as I was saying, it's not really been the most spectacular start to the season by Barcelona, but all that really matters is it's 6 points in the bag. That's great to see, and it's momentum building in the right direction. We're getting whistles here inside the stadium. We're starting to get some impatience. Some people have been sitting around here now for 2 hours, and they're beginning to wonder, where is Dembélé? When is he going to come out?
Pacheco, que li diuen San Fernando fins i tot, perquè és un dels herois que tenen a l'Alavés, fins i tot un dels herois que van tenir a l'ascens. Recordem que aquest era el primer partit després de la final de la Copa del Rei, que va ser de color blaugrana, una final molt important per nosaltres, però que també era molt important per l'Alavés, un equip que acabava de pujar la temporada passada.
Let's not underestimate winning away to Alaves as well. Only 4 teams managed to win at Mendizorroza last season. Barca were one of those, winning their game 6-0. Or was it 6-1? I can't remember. But it was certainly 6 goals that Barca scored. So it's not an easy place to go and get the 3 points by any means.
Contra aquests equips de la seva Lliga veurem com juga. Ara, si aquest plantejament que va fer contra el Barça el repeteix contra equips de la seva Lliga, jo li veig...
Key save there from Ter Stegen, another of the key performers in the game. Yesterday he made 2 particularly important saves in a game where he wasn't under too much danger, but managed to deal with the danger when it did come.
A dalt, i per tant, estem al mes d'agost. Vull dir que això està començant, encara falten jugadors, per tant, jo crec que...
Of course, La Liga takes a break now for next weekend, with the international games coming up. Wherever you're watching around the world, I'm sure there are some gripping games coming up for your own national team around the world. World Cup qualifying stages drawing to a close.
També molt bé la baixa de Luis Suárez, una baixa molt important a l'equip, i ara recuperant-se en aquestes 2 setmanes per encarar el tercer partit de Lliga, que serà contra l'Espanyol.
Corker games to look forward to, involving Barca players, including France playing against Holland. That's a crunch game for both those teams in a group where Sweden are also performing very well. And not forgetting down in South America at the Centenario, it's Uruguay against Argentina. That's a massive game for those 2 teams, neither of whom are guaranteed a place in qualification. Brazil, the only team already mathematically through in South America.
S'hauria de tenir paciència en el sentit que Valverde, ho comentàvem abans, Valverde no tindrà temps. La gran majoria dels jugadors del Barça són internacionals, no té temps per preparar aquest partit. Segurament Dembélé encara no podrà ser titular perquè acaba d'arribar, perquè pràcticament amb els seus companys, amb Leo Messi, potser haurà compartit un entrenament o 2 com a molt.
Just talking about the next Barca fixture, of course, is against Espanyol on the 9th. One wonders, will Dembélé feature in that game or will he not? We don't know, because although there are 2 weeks to get things sorted, because the players will be coming back from international break, he won't have had very long to train with the players, so Valverde has to work out whether that will be the ideal situation to lead Dembélé into the first team in the derby against Espanyol. Certainly something that we can talk about.
De més a menys, va començar bé i després es va anar baixant, segurament perquè li va faltar el gol que li hagués donat confiança, però jo li veig a Gerard Deulofeu 2 coses molt bones. Una, que està molt bé defensivament, que està molt compromès, que era un gran dubte que tenia molta gent, aquest noi sense pilota què, i després que s'entén bé amb Messi, i jo crec que encara li falta donar un pas endavant, d'atrevir-se més, de ser més descarat, de ser més Gerard Deulofeu, però també és difícil.
També necessites minuts i continuïtat, i de moment ha tingut sort de poder aprofitar aquests partits.
Ha jugat els 2 partits de titular, però també és veritat que si li demanem sacrifici defensiu, després demanar-li que se la jugui totes en atac, no és tan fàcil. Vull dir que, a veure, els jugadors a vegades volem que ho tinguin tot i és complicat. Però sí que jo crec que Deulofeu aportarà molt a l'equip, li donarà molt. Les bandes amb Deulofeu...
My colleagues, they're talking about Gerard Deulofeu.
És un jugador que als últims anys ja no tant, però
perhaps he needs goals to score. 2 assists he supplied against Betis, but really he's the kind of player that really does need to get goals and to get playing time, because that can always be so important. And maybe the arrival of Dembélé may limit his playing time, and that's a shame, because he's a player that really does need to be getting player. He likes to play a leading role. This was Jordi Alba getting quite a nasty knock. It looked pretty horrific at the time, but we understand that there's nothing major has come of that. He just got clipped on the back there after taking a shot.
Un tema molt important. Ha guanyat amb maduresa, és pare, està casat, vull dir que té parella fixa, té una vida estable.
Second goal of the game, Barca's second goal of the game, coming off a bit of a defensive mishap, but he was there. Plop, in it goes, 2 goals for Messi. That's 351 goals now he scored for FC Barcelona. Only one player has scored more goals for a single club in any of the major European leagues. That's Gerd Müller. Gerd Müller scored, I think it's 69 goals. Whatever, I think there's a good chance that Messi's going to be surpassing that record at some point during the present season.
Són molt positives de cara al futur de Leo Messi amb el nou Barça de Valverde.
Sent el líder de l'equip, ajudant en aquesta victòria.
Images you don't need me to remind you from Saturday's game against FC Barcelona, where Messi just hit the crossbar. That's the 4th time in 2 league games that Messi's hit the woodwork. I just think that could have been 6 goals that he could have scored already if he hadn't been for the woodwork. Okay, we've got images here inside the auditori, which is where Ousmane Dembélé is going to be appearing shortly, and an interview with somebody from the press.
Com veus aquesta presentació, aquest primer dia, com ho veus?
Bé, doncs aquí estem, esperant com tots. Una miqueta, el club ens ha portat unes aigües, ara faltaria uns canapés ja, seria sensacional a aquestes hores. Bé, amb moltes ganes de Dembélé, no? Perquè al final és un futbolista que portem tot l'estiu parlant, pràcticament, des de la sortida de Neymar. És un futbolista que l'entrenador, a més, doncs, ell demanava aquest tipus de futbolista, no? Un extrem, habilidós, que et pogués aportar el que et donava el futbolista que hem tingut fins fa molt poc. I al final jo crec que el club ha fet l'esforç necessari que havia de fer, una negociació que al final doncs, la gent considerarà que, sí, clar, és segurament el fitxatge més car de la història del Barça. Veurem com acaba tot plegat, perquè jo crec que Coutinho serà el que ens ho acabarà de rebentar tot plegat en pocs dies, però jo crec que el Barça ha fet el que havia de fer. Al final, aquest és un futbolista de 19 anys, és una inversió per molts anys. També quan es va fitxar Dani Alves vam dir que van pagar molt per un lateral i després el rendiment va ser perfecte, i jo crec que si en el món del futbol hi havia un futbolista diferent i jove, un d'ells és Dembélé. Per tant, jo crec que podrem parlar molt del preu, podrem dir que tot és molt car, però és el moment del mercat. La situació està com està. A Anglaterra s'estan pagant 40 i 50 milions per defenses, doncs al final, si vols una persona i un jugador desequilibrant i que sigui decisiu d'aquí uns anys, doncs has d'apostar. S'ha apostat per Dembélé, la gent que el coneix bé diuen que ha d'acabar d'explotar, que ha estat una temporada molt interessant al Borussia, que l'hem pogut anar veient, que és un tros de pa, a més, com a persona, que s'haurà d'adaptar a l'idioma, a un vestidor que doncs, al final tindrà la sort que hi ha un senyor que es diu Sam Umtiti i Lucas Digne que podran xerrar molt, que de fet Umtiti ha fet molt perquè Dembélé avui sigui aquí també, perquè li ha anat parlant pràcticament cada dia per dir-li que tingués paciència, que el club ho estava treballant, i res, amb moltes ganes de que demà ja comenci a treballar amb el poc grup que hi ha, perquè al final és una setmana de seleccions, que això també li anirà bé, el fet de que no vagi a França i que pugui estar amb el club treballant durant tota aquesta setmana per posar-se en forma, i ganes de que pugui debutar, més si pot ser contra l'Espanyol, doncs partit ideal perquè pugui debutar Dembélé.
Ja seria perfecte. Dembélé, com dèiem, jugador jove. Què pot aportar en aquest equip? Dèiem que Valverde estava convençut d'aquest fitxatge. Què pot aportar enmig del camp?
Doncs el que aportarà segurament serà aquest desequilibri, no? Per la banda, que dèiem que havia perdut el Barça amb la sortida de Neymar. Doncs ell té velocitat, té dribbling, té arribada. Segurament el gol li falta una mica, però algun dia doncs, esperem que el vagi traient i que pugui aconseguir-ho. Però vaja, ha de ser la peça clau, ha de ser la peça que ajudi a Leo i a Luisito a dalt. A partir d'aquí és això, que s'adapti també. És un futbolista que ell, la seva gràcia és pilota a l'espai i corre molt. Poder aquí no haurà de córrer tant, no? Perquè al final la idea del Barça és que tingui més la pilota, la idea en principi, tot i que aquesta idea ha anat evolucionant una mica, no? I sí que a vegades últimament hem vist més contres, però bé, tot dependrà també de la manera que vulgui jugar Valverde, si vol mantenir el 4-3-3, si vol fer aquesta variació del 4-2-3-1 amb dos extrems també molt oberts. Bé, veurem què és el que acaba portant, que s'entengui bé amb el futur lateral que tinguem, al dret, ja sigui doncs, en aquest cas Aleix o Semedo o Sergi Roberto, que ja no sabem qui juga en aquell lateral, doncs s'hauran d'anar entenent i s'haurà d'anar acostumant, però la sensació és que serà positiva segur i que sumarà moltíssim.
Bé, després d'aquesta descripció explícita del que pot aportar el jugador, anem a parlar del que hem pogut veure avui al Camp Nou, perquè més de 90 mitjans de comunicació acreditats per poder fer aquestes primeres preguntes al jugador, però a més moltíssima gent a l'esplanada que l'esperava. És un fitxatge que a més crea il·lusió, no?, per l'aficionat del Barça.
Sí, segurament això t'explica l'estiu que està vivint el barcelonista, no? Que nosaltres estem intentant explicar com ha anat tot i al final l'aficionat avui demostra que tenia necessitat d'un crac que ha arribat, que és Dembélé. De fet, jo crec que avui ha nascut el dembelismo, no? Perquè hem vist aquesta bogeria de la gentada que hi ha a l'estadi i d'alguna manera doncs, que el Barça necessitava un fitxatge així, esclar, la Junta l'ha treballat, ha trigat poder una mica massa, segurament pel gust de molta gent, però l'ha portat i per tant ha de ser un home important i per això la gent ha vingut a aquesta bogeria. Hem de pensar que avui a Barcelona ara mateix podem tenir 32 graus i amb la temperatura del xafogó estem voltant als 40, ara em deia un meteoròleg amic, no? I llavors, clar, la sensació d'estar a 40 graus aquí a l'estadi aguantant, tot i que per sort són a l'ombra, però té molt de mèrit, no? Que la gent hagi fet l'esforç i que tingui ganes de veure a Dembélé. Esperem que sigui l'inici d'una setmana on no sé si podrem veure l'altre futbolista, no? Per allò de que el tenim en Brasil i no sé si es podrà escapar o no Coutinho. Bé, això no sé si podem parlar obertament d'aquest nom, però el club n'ha parlat, per tant esperem que pogués arribar, i si no és aquesta setmana, la que ve, però sí que amb ganes d'acabar de posar aquella peça que falti al club i que també s'han de generar les sortides, que s'han de generar per fer forat a tots els que han d'anar venint.
Bé, doncs esperem aquesta setmana a veure què passa i el que queda d'aquest estiu, i ara ja et deixem que agafis el teu lloc i que puguis disfrutar també d'aquesta presentació de Dembélé.
Perfecte, doncs moltíssimes gràcies.
Bé, paraules de Gerard Romero, com dèiem, un dels periodistes que avui no s'ha volgut perdre aquesta presentació que es farà aquí a l'auditori. Nosaltres continuem esperant a poder veure aquesta imatge del president Josep Maria Bartomeu en Dembélé mostrant ja la samarreta i dient les primeres paraules davant de tots els periodistes.
Molt bé, Maria, moltes gràcies. Nosaltres també esperant a veure ja Ousmane Dembélé. Hi ha una miqueta de retard perquè el jugador hi ha hagut d'acabar d'arreglar la liquidació amb el...
Okay, so we had that interview there. I'm afraid I didn't have the sound, so I was not able to listen in and tell you what was being said, so I allowed you the chance just to listen in Catalan. We're being told that there is a delay for reasons we don't quite know why, but we're meanwhile working out the figures here in the stadium, and we would say that it's probably something now in the region of 17,000 people. It's probably something like the number of people that would normally fill the mini study. It's an incredible turnout from people inside this Camp Nou today. As you can see, perhaps starting to get a little bit impatient. We're getting a bit of whistling now. People wondering what's going on. I'm afraid I'm not too sure myself what's going on, but things clearly a little bit behind schedule. But that tends to be the way with these things. There's no cause for alarm. these things do tend to sometimes take a little longer than expected. But of course, the schedule is that we should be seeing Ousmane Dembélé signing his contract in the company of Josep Maria Bartomeu. We know he's in the stadium because we saw images of him in a rather nice debonair-looking suit. We've got images here. I believe these are images of him arriving for his medical test earlier today at the hospital. The camera's there getting the wrong person. That's Dembélé there. This is him arriving at Barcelona Hospital for his medical test. To the best of our awareness, we don't think he's ever had any particular injury problem. 20 years old, he's young, always been fit, so there's really no reason for him to have taken the medical this morning other than the fact that it's normal protocol to do that. It has to be done. As you know, it's very rare for new signings to come along and then fail their medical, though it has happened over the years at other clubs. The time here in Barcelona, well, it's now gone 2 o'clock, it's 2:05, and we're still waiting for Ousmane Dembélé to appear before the huge crowd in the Camp Nou. We reckon that there's well over 15,000 people, 16,000, 17,000. It's a big crowd anyway, waiting to see this 20-year-old player signed from FC Barcelona. The second most expensive player in football history, we do believe, although the actual content of the contract is something that's going to be explained to the media later on today. It's not officially been declared, although I think most people are aware of what the conditions are of how Dembélé has arrived at Borussia Dortmund from FC Barcelona. But we'll be getting official confirmation of all the numbers aspects of the contract. Also official confirmation that it is indeed a 5-year contract that the Frenchman has been signed on. And also one assumes confirmation that these medical tests have all gone well this morning. These are images of the second part of the test at the Ciutat Esportiva, the Barcelona Medical Services.
A mi hi ha dues paraules, una que m'encanta i l'altra que odio el futbol i que són molt semblants. Quan els entrenadors parlen d'equilibri, ja m'espanto i veig un equip allò catenatxo tancat al darrere. En canvi, quan un jugador és desequilibrant, quan parlem de desequilibri, llavors som...
That's the waiting room for the physiotherapy room. This is Dembélé putting on his training gear. Putting on his Nike trainers, putting on his Nike gear and smiling. I don't know if he's smiling for the cameras or smiling because he just wants to smile, but certainly looking very, very happy on what I'm sure is one of the most exciting days of his life. It's all been really fast track for Dembélé. He only turned professional 2 years ago for Stade Rennais in his native France, and just a year on he was playing for Borussia Dortmund, playing in the Bundesliga, playing Champions League football, voted Rookie of the Year in the Bundesliga last year. And here he is at FC Barcelona, just 2 years after turning pro. Only 20 years old, and very interested in that little machine that's measured his weight. Something we've been able to confirm for you today is that he seems to have a tattoo-free body, which is unusual in football these days, but we seem to be getting to see every part of his flesh that's decently allowed to be shown on TV, and there don't seem to be any markings on his body. Oh, I lied. I think that might be one there, just down on the right-hand side of his waist. Was that a tattoo?
Destacant sobretot amb el seu joc que comentàvem de verticalitat, amb aquesta combinació de poder jugar amb les dues cames. Li arriba la gran oportunitat de fer el salt a la Lliga alemanya, fitxa pel Borussia Dortmund, on ha estat triomfant aquesta última campanya sent una de les dades que t'agrada a tu, Jaume, el que més driblings ha completat, que són 103, dels 213 que havia intentat.
Brutal, brutal. I el que deia el Bruno abans, és que el Borussia Dortmund no és allò, no tinc ningú davant. És que tens Götze, que és veritat que ha tingut els seus problemes, és que tens Marco Reus, que és veritat que també ha tingut problemes.
Looking at
que és un internacional absolut contrastat.
one of the striking stats that we've been mentioning over and over is the fact that he made more solo runs, completed dribbles in the major European leagues than any other player last year. That's staggering confirmation of what a daring player he is, how he's willing to take on players, and he does that, of course, with both feet. It's not even clear if he's a left-footed player or a right-footed player. Technically, he's right-footed, but he's left-footed, but he uses his right just as much, and in fact, is more commonly seen shooting with his right foot than with his left foot, so that's going to be something that Liga defences are going to have to work their way around this year. Images now inside the Auditori 1899. This is where Ousmane Dembélé is going to be appearing very, very shortly to say his first statement and pose for his first photographs as an official FC Barcelona player, after which he'll be donning a strip, not those strips that are behind him there, but he will be donning identical strips as those with a number 11 shirt on the back, and then appearing in the Camp Nou before those thousands of people that we've already had a little look at in the stadium. Looking at the individual awards that Dembélé's won, I mean, it's a hell of a lot. The League One Young Player of the Year he was in Young Player of the Year in 2016. Then he was also in the Champions League Breakthrough 11 in 2016. He was Player of the Month in the French League for March 2016. Then moving on to Germany, where he was voted Rookie of the Season. He was named into the Team of the Season, and he was named Man of the Match of the German Cup Final, which Borussia Dortmund won last year. So, I mean, already collecting individual awards.
Cada cop veig més gent que arriba i és que volen veure aquest, jo crec que ho podem dir, el fitxatge més il·lusionant d'aquesta temporada.
So stinkingly hot here in Barcelona. It's 29-30 degrees. Feels like a lot more because of the humidity.
Com està l'ambient allà?
Doncs l'ambient ja...
We're now going to hear from our college, who's down at pitch level. He's saying 8, 9, 10,000 people, so we're getting all kinds of different estimates of how many people are inside the stadium for today's event. The whole of the south goal, the main terrace, the area underneath the commentary boxes up above there. We've had a change of plans.
Concretament, Ousmane Dembélé pugui fer primer aquests tocs de pilota aquí a la gespa d'aquest estadi del Futbol Club Barcelona. Després ja anirà cap a l'auditori.
I'm just listening in, and it turns out that Dembélé is going to be coming down to pitch level to do his juggling part of the day, and he's going to be doing that before his official statement to the media. I believe that's because things are getting delayed. We brought this ahead because obviously a lot of people have been waiting now for 2 hours and longer, and it's a very, very hot day here in Barcelona. It's only fair to get that part over and done with first. And also we're getting a bit of whistling from some of the people that are starting to get a little bit impatient, starting to wonder what's happening. So it's nice to finally have got some clarification of what's going on. It turns out that we're going to be getting Dembélé appearing on the pitch very, very shortly. I think that's going to be the next part of the proceedings, and of course we're here to bring them to you live.
Potser li toca estar en una posició on abans hi havia un defensa o un porter, vull dir que no té cap relació, però sí que són coses curioses per l'arribada de qualsevol nou futbolista.
You see the sun's moved, it's now casting its shadow right across that whole area where most of the people are, so that's good for them, but still not too good for me three colleagues that are there presenting the program in Catalan, they must be sweating and sweating and sweating and getting, hope they've got some cream on because they're going to get burned. The Paulinho presentation, they did the same. They had to sit in the sun there. Why not give them some shade, poor people? Okay, we're getting excited now. There seems to be buzzing and movement. The press are always one step ahead of the rest of us, and they're all there with their cameras. I think Dembélé is about to come out onto the pitch.
No sé si haurà tingut dies tan calorosos com avui.
Sí, no. Alemanya segurament haurà patit...
The MC is getting our people inside the crowds to start cheering. Hopefully they're going to have someone to cheer for any second now. There's the players' tunnel, where so many players have emerged since this stadium was built in the late 1950s, and where the latest FC Barcelona superstar is about to appear, Ousmane Dembélé. The preparation here is for the fans to greet the player with a huge cheer when he appears, and I think they will do. These people have been waiting up to 2 hours, a long time. Arriving at the stadium this morning myself at around about 11 o'clock Central European time, that's over 3 hours ago, there was already a crowd building up of people. So some people have been around for quite a long time. They've already seen their first glimpse of Ousmane Dembélé, the people who are here early. He did come out wearing a suit up on the balcony for a brief couple of seconds. I'm not sure he was actually supposed to, but I think he just couldn't wait, and he was in there speaking to dignitaries inside and saw that there was a way out to get onto the balcony to have a look at the stadium. But I'll go and have a look here, and oh my God, I suddenly realised that he was surrounded by thousands of people. Why are there thousands of people here? Well, they're here to see you. They're here to see you, Ousmane. They're here to welcome you to FC Barcelona. Welcome. Bienvenue. Benvingut. Bienvenidos.
I això és molt difícil de trobar, molt difícil de trobar. A la plantilla del primer equip del Barça, trobar jugadors que siguin ambidextres és complicat. Iniesta, per exemple, sí que és un dels jugadors que és clarament dretà, però que l'esquerra la domina molt bé. Messi és veritat que ha millorat molt amb la dreta, Luis Suárez pot rematar amb l'esquerra, però tots, pràcticament tots, dius, escolta'm, aquest és dretà o
What my colleague's talking about is how Barca just doesn't really have any player that's totally ambidextrous at the moment. Adriano, perhaps the last example of a player here that could play with both feet. I mean, of course, the players can. He was saying like Iniesta is right-footed, but he's proved time and time again that he can with his left. Messi has improved an awful lot with his right foot. Suarez can shoot with both feet when called upon. But a player who is pretty much 50-50, can use both feet as well as the other, doesn't even have a particularly preferred foot. That's something that Barca perhaps not had since Adriano. The last attacking player with those qualities, you tell me, I can't remember someone who was in the Barca front line so ambidextrous. We're talking about a player who's not even too sure what foot is his correct foot, because theoretically he's left-footed, but he uses his right foot to shoot with. If you ask him to take a penalty, he's probably going to take it with his right foot. He's pretty much ambidextrous. He's just as good with one foot as he is with the other. That's an extraordinary quality in a player. It's a rare quality, and it's one that drives defenders and goalkeepers mad. It really does.
Deia que és positiu també tenir Ding i Umtiti a l'equip. Això sempre ajuda molt a l'adaptació dels jugadors.
Sí, a més haurà coincidit amb els dos a la selecció francesa.
We've got some young lads there from FCBARCELONA. Poor kids, they've been waiting a long time. We don't know what role they're going to play in the proceedings, but on the day of Paulinho's presentation, they had a little rondo, a little kick around in a circle, which Paulinho joined in with. We said at the time that it looked like that would probably become a part of the protocol for these presentations, and it will probably be something that will be repeated time and time again. So there are some youngsters from FCBARCELONA. Let's see if they do something with Dembélé when he comes out onto the stadium. I hope so myself, because sometimes it's a bit of an anticlimax when the player comes out, juggles the ball, says a few words, and he's gone. So the more things there are to happen on the pitch when the player comes out, so much the better. Not forgetting, of course, he's also presented a new car, an Audi car, and also he'll be kicking balls into the stands for some very lucky punters to take away home.
I alguns jugadors que pugen la mitjana, però el que dius tu, sí, i a més destacar una dada que segur que et va agradar, que era que hi havia 8 jugadors...
8 jugadors han passat a les categories inferiors.
Sí, alguns amb més, alguns amb
And
menys.
so the wait goes on.
Sinó fitxar jugadors amb capacitat real de ser titulars. Un tití.
I hope you're sparing a thought for me as well. I've been sat here for a long time, and wearing earphones for so long does start to make your ears ache a lot. It's starting to get a bit painful now, a little bit uncomfortable. Waiting for Ousmane Dembélé, just the same as you are, just the same as the latest estimate is 10,000 people inside the stadium, just the same as all these people from the media, just the same as all those thousands of you watching in live around the world at whatever time it is, whether it's early morning, whether it's midday, whether it's late night, whether it's the middle of the night, wherever you're watching, to see Dembélé appearing in an FC Barcelona strip for the first time. The fifth new addition to FC Barcelona this summer. Paulinho, of course, was presented, so was Nelson Semedo, and of course Gerard Deulofeu, who's returned to the club, and Marlon Santos, who was promoted from the B team to the first team. For which reason Deulofeu and Marlon Santos didn't really have the same kind of presentation treatment, because they were perhaps seen as different circumstances. Nelson Semedo's presentation was a little bit different, because it couldn't really be done in the same way as we would normally do it in the stadium, because the pitch was being re-turfed at the time. So his presentation happened up there, up in the stands, which at the time were being used as the terrace, as a restaurant for the summer. So it's quite useful that terrace could be used for the presentation. Paulinho had a normal presentation, as you know, just over a week or so ago. Now we're about to get Ousmane Dembélé's presentation any minute now, and who knows if that's the last presentation, or whether the board, the manager, the technical secretary has some other surprise up their sleeve for us. The transfer window, of course, closes on the 31st, so there's still 3 days to learn if there's going to be any other surprises, any other additions to the squad. Of course, Ernesto Valverde has pretty much confirmed that there will be players leaving as well. He didn't want to cite names, although some names were cited to him, and he didn't deny that those were the players that he was perhaps thinking were not so much surplus to requirements as thinking it would do them good to go somewhere else and get playing time wearing the shirt of another club, as has happened, of course, with Sergi Samper, who's gone on loan for the second time after spending last season on loan to Granada. He's now gone out on loan to Las Palmas. There will be other members of the club, of the first team, going out on loan. That's pretty much been confirmed by Ernesto Valverde. There's a lady appearing out of the tunnel, but she's not Ousmane Dembélé, which is the man that we're waiting for. He's down there somewhere. He's going to be coming out any moment now. So brace yourselves for the big moment, the presentation live of Ousmane Dembélé.
Rakitic marcarà, Sergi Roberto marcarà. Estic convençut. Els equips de Valverde, Raúl García marcava gols, San José marcava gols en estratègia. Els migcampistes han d'aportar molt.
I Paulinho justament és un dels jugadors que diuen que té gol, que n'ha fet alguns amb el cap, vull dir que és un jugador que té arribada a l'àrea també.
Sí, sí, en Brasil i a Uruguai, contra Uruguai.
Okay, my players here, they're talking about Paulinho at the moment and saying, hey, this is the guy that scored a hat-trick for Brazil against Uruguay, away to Uruguay not long ago. I think it was the first ever hat-trick scored at the Centenario. Montevideo, of course, the Uruguayan national stadium. It was the first hat-trick, of course, scored by a visiting team. Uruguayans have scored hat-tricks there many times, but it was the first hat-trick by a visiting player ever at the Centenario. So that's not a bad record.
Parlem de Paulinho, un dels fitxatges de l'estiu, I de
Dembélé. Talking about other players, you know, I mean, Iniesta we know all about, Rakitic we know all about, how it's important to have players that can come through from midfield and help out with an attack that is already looking very strong at the moment. It was said that things were looking weak after the departure of Neymar, but now things are looking pretty strong at the top. Going down to my colleague there at pitch level, let's see what he's got to say. He says that the player has been sighted in the changing room. He is kitted up in his shirt with the number 11 on the back. He's got his boots on, so he's going to be coming out any moment now. Reminding us, of course, as well that he's come from Deportivo, from Borussia Dortmund. He's here for 5 seasons on his initial contract, which one assumes he's now actually signed. We haven't seen images of him signing the contract, which is what we normally do. Don't know why that is. We're assuming he's probably signed his contract by this stage. We don't have images of that. I don't know why not. Hopefully we will have those images to show you at some point. Hopefully he has signed his contract. We're assuming he has. We haven't seen it. It's all happening behind closed doors. I'm none the wiser, neither of my 3 colleagues, and neither is our colleague who's down there at pitch level waiting for Ousmane Dembélé to appear out of the players' tunnel for this official presentation that, as you can see, we're delighted to bring to you live here at fcbarcelona.com, on Barca Video, on YouTube. Welcome all around the world if you're enjoying this coverage. Sorry to have kept you waiting. Don't blame me. Don't know who you have to blame. Ousmane Dembélé is coming out. I'm sure he's not to blame either, and I'm sure he will come out as soon as possible. We're told it's just minutes, maybe even seconds away from happening.
Aquests jugadors que tant han desequilibrat per aquesta banda, doncs són futbolistes que poden ser comparables a Dembélé. Jo ho veig difícil perquè Dembélé, lògicament, és molt bo, però Neymar o Ronaldinho són dels millors en aquest aspecte.
Sí, com sigui, és un jugador que il·lusiona, que ens portarà aquest desequilibri, aquesta profunditat, aquest 1 contra 1.
Just being given the official statement there by the MC. He has said in poc minuts, which means in very few minutes, in a question of minutes. Let's hope it's true, because we're starting to get a bit impatient here as well. Where are you, Dembélé? We just can't wait to see you wearing your number 11 shirt. We've known, of course, for a few days about this signing. He already arrived in Barcelona yesterday, but, you know, it doesn't really sink in until you actually see him there in the camp now, wearing the kit and kicking a ball. That's when it really sinks in that this wonderful player is now part of FC Barcelona, and it's someone that we can look forward to enjoying for the 2017-18 season, in which we hope so many good things are going to be happening to this football club.
Ha deixat un bon regust, eh? Mira, amb el que ens ha dit Teo Chendri, jo et puc dir que si era amic de...
We've got some more movement. Somebody else has emerged from the tunnel, but no, he's just an official of some nature carrying a piece of paper and a clipboard. Out comes a young lady. She's brought some water, which she's distributing to the press. I'm sure they're probably quite glad about that, because it's not exactly cold here at the moment. The MC's been delivered some water. If she could just sneak along to the booth where I am here and bring me a bottle as well, that would be very gratefully received. I actually did sneak out and get myself some water when perhaps none of you were looking. I don't know if you noticed that it went quiet for a couple of minutes, but My voice was starting to dry up, so I had to go and get some water because I didn't plan ahead. I didn't bring any with me. Neither did those journalists by the looks of things, but all's been sorted out. They've been nicely hydrated. I imagine there's a lot of people there that are getting that horrible panic that you get at these stages when you realise your battery's running out. They've probably filmed because people have got phones in these situations, they just can't resist. They have to film everything, and they've probably wasted their battery life on filming the empty stands, a video that they're probably never going to look at again, when they really need that battery life for the moment that's about to come, for when Ousmane Dembélé appears out of the tunnel. Imagine that your battery goes bang and you've run out just when the really exciting moment happens. It's been 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I'm sure a lot of people there are enjoying passing the time looking at their mobiles. Free Wi-Fi, of course, available in the club now for visitors. That's very welcome. Something that people have been asking for a long time. You do now get free Wi-Fi. I'm keeping my own telephone very much at arm's length at the moment. I don't want to look at anything because I'm sure that people out there are going to spoil what happened on Game of Thrones last night, which I haven't seen. I might as well tell you the story. I actually stayed up to watch Game of Thrones last night. It started at 3 o'clock Barcelona time. I actually woke up on the sofa this morning at about 7 o'clock this morning. I'd fallen asleep. So no, I didn't get to see what happened in what was apparently a very exciting episode. I seem to have digressed. Let's get back to the case at hand. It's now 2:30. 2:30 now. This is the time when we were supposed to be bringing you the media conference with Ousmane Dembélé, but that hasn't happened. It's going to happen soon, and we're going to bring you live coverage of that. I'll be there to translate the questions as long as my voice holds out that long. Starting to worry that it might dry up on me by the time we actually get round to the media conference. There's the players' tunnel. That's where Dembélé is going to be appearing any minute now, we were told. Some minutes have gone since that happened. The atmosphere here is like I was going to say like an FC Barcelona first team game. Let's not exaggerate, but it's certainly quite an atmosphere in here. We're certainly into the 5-figure number of people that have come along to welcome the 20-year-old Frenchman arriving from Borussia Dortmund. He's not there anymore. He's not wearing yellow and black anymore. He's wearing blue and red. He's wearing Blaugrana. He's wearing FC Barcelona's famous strip that they've been wearing since 1899, delighting people since 1899. And Ousmane Dembélé is going to contribute to delighting people for the next 5 years. Who knows? Maybe longer. You can see that the third tier of the stadium is now being filled as well. That wasn't even going to be opened originally, but that has been opened too. Those are the seats up by the commentary boxes. Okay, the media are moving cameras into place once again. We always know that the media in Spain and pretty much all around the world, they're always one step ahead of everybody else. They always know what's going on, and if they're standing in those positions, it's because they know that Dembélé is about to appear very, very shortly. Even more very shortly than before. Very, 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 very shortly now he's going to appear out of that tunnel, where there's the TV studio on the left, where there's a chapel on the right. In fact, as you will all know if you've been on the Camp Nou Experience tour. If you haven't and you're in Barcelona, you make sure you do. I'm sure you would do, because if you're watching this streaming, then I'm sure you're the kind of person that wouldn't come to Barcelona and let slip on the opportunity like that. You come out of the tunnel, you walk up the steps, you walk past the benches, you walk onto the pitch, you walk up to the area where Ousmane Dembélé is going to be appearing for the fans in a matter of minutes, shall we say now a matter of seconds. It could be happening any time now. Don't go away, please.
Insistim, de partits grans, que encara evidentment ha de millorar moltes coses, i hi ha un detall que no hem comentat encara que em sembla molt interessant. Segurament les primeres setmanes podem esperar que no sigui titular, no? Que comenci a la banqueta i mica en mica Ernesto Valverde els...
What my colleagues are talking about here is Dembélé goes pretty much without saying that he's not going to feature as a 90-minute man for his first 2 or 3 games. Oh, there we go. There he is. There he is. Not where we'd expect him to come from. This is a bit of a surprise. We expected him to come out onto the pitch, but he's actually come out into the presidential box where the president and the rest of the VIPs normally come out. That's not where people are expecting him to appear, but Ousmane Dembélé is here. He's wearing his suit, he's not wearing his Barca colours, and he's shaking hands with the fans who've had a complete stroke of luck, and all the media that were down at pitch level have been caught out by that one because he's appeared up in the VIP lounge. Now we've finally got images inside. I'm not sure if these are live or not. I think they probably are live images. The guy on the left, of course, Josep Maria Bartomeu, the president of FC Barcelona. He's got an FC Barcelona pen. So has Ousmane. He's got a pen too. There's the contract in a nice little binder. Bartomeu, no idea what he said to him then. Don't even know what language. I don't know if Bartomeu speaks French. I think he probably does speak a word or two of French. He's quite a man of the world, he is. Quick smile for the camera, and now sign the contract. They have to sign every page, in fact both sides of the contract, so there's quite a lot to be signed. Dembélé is only signing one side of the contract. I think he's meant to sign both sides. Paulinho had to the other day. Anyway, is Mr. Bartomeu signing both sides? Yeah, Bartomeu is. Dembélé isn't signing both sides of the paper. I don't know if that matters or not. If he does speak French, he's speaking very smoothly, cracking a joke there, which certainly found its target because Ousmane smiled in response. To the best of our knowledge, Dembélé doesn't speak any other language apart from French, maybe German. We don't know for sure. That's the contract signed. Historic moment here at FC Barcelona. This is Ousmane Dembélé signing his 5-year contract for FC Barcelona. With the exact numbers that are on that contract, they pretty much appeared in the press. I think we know what they are. It's the second highest, most expensive signing of all time, apparently, after a certain Neymar Jr. who headed in the opposite direction. But the exact details of the contract, they will be explained by Mr. Bartomeu during the proceedings today. There may be surprises. Maybe it's not what was expected. One assumes that there's no reason to think that it's not what has been announced by the club already. But it does need official confirmation. They've done a little swap over act there. Having signed one copy of the contract, swap over. Now they signed the copy that they didn't. Now this one, Dembélé is signing on both sides.
Que són dretans de mà i esquerrans de peu i al revés, però que sigui esquerrà de mà
ja és bastant significatiu. One copy for the club, one copy for the player.
Xuta millor simplement amb la dreta, però que de cames és esquerra.
Un jugador doncs, que l'hem pogut veure a la lletja que ha estat bé, que saludar tots els aficionats que han estat esperant una miqueta.
It's not really official protocol. I mean, the contract has to be signed. It's very important that pen is put to paper. But this is the moment when really Ousmane Dembélé becomes an official player. It's as soon as he puts down the last of these pages, then we can truly confirm that he's signed. It's a bit like weddings these days, for example. The ceremony is one thing, but it's actually when you go to the registry office, that's when you truly do become husband and wife, or husband and husband, of course, as wife and wife, as could be the case these days. Okay, Bartomeu's finished his. He's obviously an expert at doing this, but Dembélé not too far behind. That's the last one signed, so that's now official. That's a handshake and a smile for the cameras, and that's the picture that's going to be appearing all around the world, but particularly in the Catalan and French press, of course, tomorrow. We'll do it again in front of the flag, the Catalan flag on the left, the Barca flag on the right. Do you need me to tell you? And with various mottos of Barca there, tothom Barça, everyone Barça, no ens podrà torcer, they can't twist us, estem d'acord, that's, we agree. Different Barca motifs there in the background, so that's the contract signed, so it's all official. Whatever happens afterwards is purely ceremonial, but what a ceremonial way to do these things when you've got a 5-figure number of people here inside the camp now, waiting with bated breath for the arrival of Ousmane Dembélé.
Il·lusió i sí que em sembla que no segurament com a titular, perquè encara és que pràcticament ho dèiem abans, no? El dissabte, diumenge que es juga aquell partit contra...
I think those were live images that we were just bringing you there of the signing ceremony. Obviously, you can't really do any of the other parts before. In fact, there was a gesture from Bartomeu just at the end of those images where you saw he was kind of ushering Dembélé, saying, "Okay, we've done the handshake. Okay, now let's get changed quick," because they really wanted to get that bit over and done with, so they can come out now onto the pitch and do the presentation, because some of the fans have been standing around now for getting on for 3 hours. I've been talking here for getting on for two and a half hours as well, so we really are starting to get a bit impatient. We want to see the player out there, but of course there's no point in coming out and waving if he hasn't already signed his contract, because it wouldn't be official. Now it is official. You can all breathe easy. There was no real reason to doubt, of course, that he was ever going to sign his contract. I can't remember any case where a player, and certainly not an FC Barcelona player, has looked at his contract on this day of his presentation and said, no, I'm not signing this. And of course, so that's now the formalities out of the way. We now have a new member of the squad. A new player who's going to be wearing the number 11 shirt, which I think is what Dembélé is putting on as we speak, and will then be heading out of that tunnel onto the pitch to salute the fans, who he's already actually come out and saluted, some of those that are up in the stands there. But then he'll be appearing down here on the pitch, where you can see the media gathering like flies, ready for the pictures that are going to be seen all around the world tomorrow. One of the most high-profile and exciting signings in recent history. There's more movement now in the tunnel. There's a young lady coming out. And there's a young lady going back in again. Ousmane, where are you? You can see the media tucked away in their little media enclosure. We're saying we're not getting new arrivals now, because pretty much all the people that were going to come are now here, but what we're not getting is people leaving, so we've still got more or less 10,000 people here to see the moment.
Què passa, doncs, amb aquesta sortida d'Ousmane Dembélé?
Well, you heard that bit in English. Ladies and gentlemen, he's about to come out. We understand he's going down the steps. He's in the player tunnel. You can't see those images. Maybe you'll get to see them at some point any second now. Ousmane Dembélé is going to be appearing out of that tunnel. It's the moment we've all been waiting for. Drum roll, drum roll. Any second now. We're saying we could even start the countdown now. Do we dare go 10, 9, 8? Until Dembélé comes out. Here comes the music, here he is!
I a tots els efectes, exjugador del Borussia Dortmund, ovació de gala per Ousmane Dembélé, sona l'himne del Futbol Club Barcelona. Dembélé, que el primer que fa és tirar la pilota cap enfora, saludant ara mateix a tota la gent de Gol Sud, ara tribuna.
There you go, there's the sound. Ousmane Dembélé has come out of the stadium, out of the tunnel. He's on the pitch, and now we're getting a show of skill. Certainly knows what he's doing with the football, but we knew that anyway. We've seen this player, perhaps not so much for Rennes, but certainly for Borussia Dortmund. We've seen his performances in the Bundesliga, but more to the point, in the Champions League last year. There's the skills of this 20-year-old wearing the number 11 shirt and delivering the Liga official football. Oh, we thought he was going to kick it up into the stands, but no. He's going to take the classic picture, crouched with the ball. Bit of shoulder skill. Now over to the backdrop there, and out come the FCBARCELONA youngsters. We don't know what's going to happen here. This is something new. They're going to do a little kick around. Dembélé is going to join in with them. So a little kick around with Dembélé and the youngsters. This is something we saw with the Paulinho presentation the other day, and that we're seeing now again with Dembélé. A little kick around with these four kids from the FCBARCELONA. The music in the background, of course, needs no introduction. That's the camp. That's the Cant del Barça, that's the Barca hymn, getting a second rendition through of it now. So, wearing his official FC Barcelona kit for the first time ever, Ousmane Dembélé, doesn't he look good in it? The same strip that's being worn by the young kids from FCBARCELONA, who are doing a little kick around.
Li passa al mig centre, ai, quasi la perdem, per un altre cop, Dembélé.
Seems like his shirt is not just saying his surname, he's having the O as well. O Dembélé is what he's officially going to be having on the back of that number 11 shirt.
I els nanos, que ja els hi diuen que ja poden sortir.
The shirt that was vacated by Neymar Jr. not so long ago, and that has so effectively, quickly, efficiently and brilliantly been refilled by this more than dignified successor, and what a fantastic addition to the squad. One of the most talked about signings in European football, if not the most talked about signing in European football. Ousmane Dembélé, and Mark Growell there from Barca TV. He's down there. I assume he's going to translate what Dembélé has to say. So here's something to look forward to. Seems like he speaks French. Well, I guess you're all keen to hear Ousmane Dembélé. The first question, welcome to Barca, bienvenue à Barcelona. Asking about his dream coming true, about the pleasure to play for this club, to be with the best players in the world, and how excited he is to be in front of everybody today. Mark Brow is underlining the fact he said the best club in the world. Why did you come to play for Barca? He's always wanted to since he was very young. He watched all the matches. It's the best club in the world with the best players in the world. And he's hoping to bring lots of trophies and titles to Barcelona. Reiterating how happy and pleased he is to form part of the Barca family. What's your target? 5 years you're here for. Hoping for a good year to win lots of titles with Barca. And looking forward to playing in this stadium and, of course, ending with Visca el Barça. Very happy to be here at Barcelona. Looking forward to winning a lot of titles and hoping to integrate quickly with his teammates with that objective in mind.
A través del periodista de Barça TV, Ousmane Dembélé. Déu-n'hi-do, quina gardela. I ho fa amb la cama dreta i ara amb la cama...
So, note how these balls are being kicked, some with his left foot, some with his right foot. The ball's going up into the stands. I think I should say a special word at this point for my French O-level teachers, because I managed to understand everything that he said. Nobby, if you're listening, the teacher at Penglais School in Aberystwyth in Wales, he used to always criticise me for my rubbish French. I hope you're listening now. So, the ball's being kicked into the stands. Lovely, wonderful souvenir for the fans that are here in the stadium today. Dembélé now is being introduced to a representative from Audi, because this is the car that he's going to take away. I don't think he even knew about this little extra surprise for the day. There's a handshake, posing for the photograph with the Audi car, which he gets to take away. Being shown the interior of this wonderful vehicle, so kindly provided by one of our sponsors here at FC Barcelona. I assume he's going to have to change the number plate before he can actually take that one onto the roads. Thumbs up from Dembélé, now presented with that wonderful Audi car. Now some more balls over on the other side. Just been whispered into his ear there what he has to do. It's more of the same. Kick the balls up into the stands. He seems to have got them all into the right area, although today it's pretty hard to miss that area. There are so many fans here, something in the region of 10,000 people here to enjoy this presentation of Ousmane Dembélé, taking it all in wonderfully in his stride. So, a pleasure to bring you this live. Of course, the media press conference still to come. We'll be here to provide coverage of that live, to translate all the questions. It's going to be an interesting combination of French, Catalan, Spanish, English, but I'm sure we'll manage to get ourselves understood, and it's my job to be here to help with that objective. He's now making his way to the disabled zone. He's got a ball for one of the disabled supporters here inside the stadium. Applause for this lovely gesture from the player to make sure he gives a special moment of time to these special needs visitors in the stadium today. Of course, all forms part of the famous values of this club, something that Dembélé fully understands and appreciates, being an FC Barcelona fan since a young child, as he's once again confirmed today. He understands the values of this club and how important it is to make sure that all fans, wherever you are in the world, get the chance to share moments like this. So here we are on this historic day at FC Barcelona. Ousmane Dembélé, we look forward to seeing those 2 feet working all kinds of magic on this pitch over the next 5 years. Who knows how many more after that. Dembélé now with a gesture there with the club crest that he's got there on his chest. Another salute to the supporters. He's got to go because he's got the media conference to attend. We'll be bringing you coverage of that very shortly, so don't go anywhere. There's still more to look forward to. Ousmane Dembélé, we've seen him sign his contract in the presence of Josep Maria Bartomeu, the Barcelona president. He's signed his contract. He's now officially an FC Barcelona player. He's done the ceremonial part of introducing himself to the crowd, and what we saw was somebody who oozed charisma. It was a lovely touch seeing him coming out up there at the top there and coming out to the top there and shaking hands with his players. We have to thank everybody who's been involved in organising this wonderful occasion today. So as a stadium level, that's the end of the proceedings. So I assume it's time for these people to make their way down to the club shop, where I'm sure a lot of these people are now going to be getting a Barca shirt with a number 11 and with Dembélé's name on the back. A wonderful day of Barcelonisme, as they like to call it here.
Doncs Bruno, moltíssimes gràcies per acompanyar-nos avui. Marxaràs més morenet perquè Déu-n'hi-do.
It's quite hard to make ourselves heard here because of the noise inside the stadium with the music coming over.
El podeu seguir a la SER, és un crac el Bruno Alemany.
I ens ha servit de molt avui en aquesta presentació. Gràcies, Bruno, ens veiem aviat. I anem a veure com ha sigut l'arribada d'Ousmane Dembélé al seu nou vestidor, perquè recordem que abans de sortir...
So we're getting images, we've not seen these images before. This is Dembélé taking off his very dapper snooker player-esque jacket, which he's hanging up in his, what's going to be his locker. Hopefully we're going to get a shot of the locker. Well, we have it there. Jeremy Mathieu was the previous incumbent of this locker. Mathieu, of course, now at Sporting Lisbon, but he will be coming back to the club with his new club. And we see these are images of him just after signing his contract and just before appearing in the stadium, seen putting on his Barca shirt, the new Rakuten logo shirt, putting on his Nike boots, putting on his strip to appear on the pitch earlier on, and of course always making a point of acknowledging the cameras, which he knows indirectly and directly is acknowledging the thousands, the millions of people around the world that are going to be enjoying these photographs on the FC Barcelona website later on today. Here's images. Look how calm he is coming out there. There's no sign of nerves, taking it all. He looked a bit bemused perhaps on arrival yesterday, but that's gone. Doing this like a true pro, belying the mere 20 years that he's been on this earth. Some lovely little juggling skills. It was nice to note as well that in his little speech, the way he said Visca el Barça, saying that in Catalan. Nice to know that he knows how to say that. One assumes he's known that since a kid. It's not just something he speaks up. Although, let's face it, Visca el Barça is universal language these days. I think most people now know Visca el Barça y Visca Catalunya. People know what that's all about. Ousmane Dembélé certainly does. He's well versed in FC Barcelona. He said he's been watching the games on television, one assumes, and hopefully on legal streams. He's been watching the FC Barcelona games since he was a kid. Here we're seeing again the moment when the young lads from FCBARCELONA came out to join the player. Dembélé, at first, he wasn't too sure what he was supposed to do, and then let's have a look what feet he used. Right foot.
Però mira, això de l'adaptació, tu que ets jove no te'n recordaràs, però quan va venir Schuster al primer partit ja va ser espectacular.
Left foot, right foot.
Romario el primer partit aquí contra la Real Societat marca 3 gols. Ronaldo el primer partit ja era una meravella.
Left foot.
Hem de tenir paciència, però crec que els grans jugadors i els jugadors especials, diferents,
both feet being used,
el dia del Gazpacho, que
as we've been saying all morning. This is the first player really since Adriano who's a truly ambidextrous member of the first team. And as for an attacking player that uses both feet, it's hard to remember a player who could use both. Of course, everybody can use both feet. We've seen Leo Messi's got a lot better with his right foot. We've seen Suarez can score with both feet. But someone who naturally uses both feet pretty much indiscriminately, that's something that we don't often see in any forward. This is an absolute natural ambidextrous player. He uses his left foot as much as his right foot. He shoots with his right foot. In fact, although medically he's a left-footer, but even when asked the question, are you left-footed or right-footed, he's not even too sure which foot he used. One thing we forgot to look at, what did he use his right arm or his left arm when he was signing his contract? Or he certainly wasn't juggling between the two. These images, they're not live, but this was just only about 10 minutes ago. These historic images of Ousmane Dembélé appearing with these kids from FCBARCELONA, the FC Barcelona soccer school, and then meeting Mark Brow there, who's from Barca TV, and answering some questions in French. One assumes he's going to be dealing with his press conference in French as well, because to the best of our knowledge he doesn't speak any other languages. Maybe he speaks German, but that's not much good to us really here.
I recordem que som aquí a la gespa del Camp Nou on s'ha fet la presentació d'Ousmane Dembélé després de la signatura.
So most of the proceedings have now been dealt with. One thing that seemed to have been skipped was the official unveiling to the press, which was scheduled to happen after he'd signed his contract, and which normally happens is the player gives a short speech saying how happy they are to be here at FC Barcelona. Well, saying whatever they want to say, but it would be extraordinary if they didn't say that they were happy to be here at FC Barcelona. Of course, they're happy to be here at FC Barcelona. Who wouldn't be? That part has been skipped, it would seem, or maybe not. Here we are now in the Auditory 1899, and maybe, yes, I think we are going to be getting this short piece of protocol, or is it being doubled up with the press conference? The press conference was due to be held in the same venue as the short media presentation, so it would really make sense now to double the two things up as the same thing anyway. It looks like that's what's going to happen. Certainly, look, the press are there now with their computers and logging on and getting themselves ready, and probably trying to avoid finding out what happened on Game of Thrones last night. Certainly that's what I'm doing. I'm scared to touch any kind of modern technology this morning because I don't want that big giveaway. I want to enjoy watching it myself. Here we are in the Auditory 1899. This is the venue for the final part of the proceedings today, the media conference. Don't know who's going to be joining Dembélé for the proceedings. Will it be Robert Hernandez, Director of Football? Will it be Mr. Bartomeu himself? Will it be Jordi Mestre, the Vice President, who often appears for these occasions? Don't know. That's another little surprise to look forward to. We've just got the official number through. I assume this is official. 17,000 people here in the stadium. 17,000 people to watch the presentation of Dembélé. It's been a wonderful atmosphere. Let's not deny that over August there have been some moments of negative vibe perhaps at the club. over various things regarding the exit of a certain player, and then the Spanish Super Cup, well, that didn't really go to plan, and a bit of impatience about the lack of players arriving. One of the main ones, Ousmane Dembélé. No panic, he was coming, and he is here finally. So one of the names that had been asked for as a player that I think supporters all around the world were calling for Ousmane Dembélé to come to the club. Well, he's here now, and I think there's a huge buzz of positiveness in the club as well. Just won the 2 first games in La Liga against Betis and Alaves. Things are looking good. Things are looking exciting. The Champions League draw has been made. We're all looking forward to the game against Juventus. And 17,000 people here. Very, very positive vibe. It's great to see that. It's great to see Barca ready for the 2017-2018 season. And I'm sure some of us probably a little bit annoyed that international break has, as usual, come around so soon, just when things were getting exciting. I know a lot of you also very much looking forward to the games because of internationals coming up. I know I certainly am as a Welshman looking forward to 2 crucial games for us against Austria and Moldova. But for a lot of people as well, you know, we've got another 2 weeks to wait until the next Barca game. But don't worry, the first game back is a derby. It's Espanyol. What more could you ask for? A derby to get us back into the mood. And then it's not long until Juventus, the first game in the Champions League. That's in September. We're getting these images once again of this morning of Dembélé taking his medical. Everything went smoothly, perfectly, and to plan. The cameraman there, not too sure who the right person was. That's Dembélé there. And this is him arriving at the Barcelona hospital. If you've been following us today live all the time, this is about the 5th or 6th time that we've seen these images, so you're probably getting quite used to them. This is him at Barcelona hospital. And of course, afterwards, we're going to be seeing images of him taking the second part of his medical at the Ciutat Esportiva, the FC Barcelona training ground. Dembélé taking things very much in his stride, looking very confident about everything, not looking inhibited in any kind of way. Smile on his face, very polite. This is something that's been said about this player. He's extremely polite, very well brought up, very intelligent. Although it's never really been a doubt that he's going to become a professional footballer. He's taken his school studies very seriously. He's a very learned young lad. Somebody who really fits in with the Barca values. He's just an all-round nice guy. That's what people have said. We also had confirmation today from a former youth colleague of his that it's not a lie. He's not just saying things when he says that he's been a Barca fan since he was a kid and that's always been his dream. And you probably think, yeah, that's what they all say. No, he actually has been, and his school chums can vouch for this as a fact that no, he's been a Barca fan since he was a young kid, or at least he's been a Barca follower. He's watched the games on TV, and he's always admired the way they played, which is why he thinks he will find it so easy to adapt to Barca's football, because it's the kind of football that he's always been watching, that he's always admired, and that he's always tried to adapt to try to adapt his game to. So he's come to the perfect place. If you've always modelled your game on trying to play the Barca way, then where better to come than FC Barcelona. Saying that, I think there's a lot of people out there who've also modelled the way they play football on FC Barcelona that probably aren't going to get snapped up. It's a dream come true that only comes true for a select elite of players, and Ousmane Dembélé is the latest of those. Samuel Umtiti, of course, one of 2 other French players already at the club. Lucas Digne, the other one. We've heard that Dembélé, although today perhaps he's just taking the formalities as he has to, when he's perhaps more relaxed. He's a bit of a joker in the pack, and Umtiti and Digne, they're 2 very funny young lads as well. So to see the 3 of them together might be quite amusing. They certainly bring their a touch of the sometimes rather odd French sense of humour to FCB. 3 French players at once at FCB. Has that ever happened before? We were seeing images earlier on of all the different French players that have been at the club over the years. Rather large amount of them. Dugarry, Christian Val, players like that didn't really work out that well at the club. Laurent Blanc is another one who just had a fleeting presence here. But then others did, perhaps more and more, in fact, players have, perhaps in the wake of Frédéric Dahoud. He was a great little forward, he fitted in. And then, of course, Thierry Henry, Eric Abidal, French players that have really settled into the club a lot more. There was a time when perhaps there was certain elements of concern that for some reason French players just don't seem to fit in at Barca. That's certainly changed. That's been proved wrong. And Ousmane Dembélé, we hope he's going to be yet another player to prove that wrong, that French players can be part of FC Barcelona in much the same way as great players like Eric Abidal and Thierry Henry before.
És un
canvi tan bèstia com, per exemple, el que va fer Iniesta.
No, perquè Iniesta no es va portar la seva família.
De Fuentelvilla aquí, o Messi.
So it's been a zip change for this young player who was only 18 when he left, no, 19, sorry, when he left France to go off and play at Dortmund, but who was at a very young age when he went to Stade Rennais to join their youth setup, having come from a small town, Vernon, in the north of France. So, in a way, you could perhaps compare that to Andrés Iniesta, who was taken away from his town, Fuentevidilla, what's the name of his town down in Albacete. He was taken away at a very young age. Leo Messi, all the way from Argentina, was brought to join the youth system at Barca. And this player, he was taken away from his small town home, suddenly at Stade Rennais, playing at not one of the biggest clubs in the world, but certainly a big club in France. Difficult situation, but things worked out extremely well. He ended up turning pro there. Then he was off to Dortmund, and now he is at FC Barcelona. Still only 20, extraordinarily young player.
No podem dubtar-ho d'això. I per tant, no és fàcil, és una situació molt difícil. I aquest any, ell sí que veient aquesta marxa de Neymar, diu, aquesta és la meva. Que atenció, ningú li regalarà la
So he's had to make decisions at a young age, and things have worked out because it was a difficult decision for him whether to go to Germany or not. You know, a different country to go and play at Dortmund, Champions League level football. Did he have it in? He showed that he did against stiff competition. He pretty much breezed into the Dortmund regular starting lineup. Is he going to do the same FCB? I mean, it's not a given. It's not a given. He's got competition from De La Fell, from Alcácer, from other players, from Aleix Vidal even. There's players that he's going to have to face for competition for places in the team. So it's not a given, but I mean, a lot of people are assuming that he is going to form part of what we're calling the MSD, with him joining in the front three. But we'll have to wait and see whether he's actually going to be a regular first-team player. Ernesto Valverde, we assume, is not going to use him immediately in the friend against Espanyol. Who knows? Because he will have had very little time to train with his teammates because they've been away on the international break, of course. So he'll probably want to give him a little longer to settle into playing alongside, particularly Messi and Suarez. But one imagines that it won't be that long before he's part of the starting 11, if that's what Ernesto Valverde plans to do. We assume so. He wouldn't give away too much, Valverde, in his press conference the other day. He wanted to keep his cards close to his chest. I mean, the one thing he said, how do I know? It's only half an hour since the announcement was made. one assumes he was aware already there was interest in Dembélé, and he does have a good idea of how he's going to use the player. But of course, that was a good excuse not to have to give away too much by saying that it's only half an hour since the announcement had been made. That was last Friday, when he was speaking in his press conference ahead of the game with Alaves. Images now we have of Dembélé with Josep Maria Bartomeu, the president, signing his contract.
Que és un mig ofensiu, hi ha molta gent que diu, home, hi ha altres mitjapuntes que tenen millors xifres. Sí, però el que li dona el joc del Barça és
with
impagable.
his right hand, left hand. Yeah, he's left-handed, as is Bartomeu, in fact, which is something I'd never noticed before, but noticed when the very same thing was happening for Paulinho just over a week or so ago. So two left-handed players, Bartomeu's not a player, two left-handed people signing the contract here. The same contract, identical contract, one copy for the player, one copy for the club. The details of which I'm sure are going to be revealed before the press conference, which is due to start any minute now. Exactly what time it's starting, I can't tell you for sure, because it was due to start at 2:30. It's now 3:15 Central European time.
Per tant, paciència, deixem-lo fer, però la veritat que pinta molt bé, que serà un gran jugador. Ara només queda...
All smiles here today at FCB on this historic 28th of August 2017, the day that Ousmane Dembélé, still trying to work out exactly how to pronounce his name, hoping that this will be clarified in the media conference. Born the 15th of May 1997, that makes him 20 years old in the town of Vernon in France, which is halfway between Paris and Rouen, as Google Maps told us earlier on when we had a sneaky look.
I el que sap fer és molt important i molt difícil al futbol. I jo miro equips europeus, i el Bruno Alemany ens ho deia abans, i no veig aquest perfil de jugador tan màgic.
This, of course, is the player who was named League One Young Player of the Year in his debut season for Rennes, and also was named Bundesliga Rookie of the Year in his first season for Dortmund. So, wonder if he's going to carry on collecting awards. I mean, individual accolades have been coming thick and fast. Yesterday, there was a lot of talk about him being a possible future candidate for the Ballon d'Or. Maybe that's jumping the gun somewhat, but certainly his first 2 years as a pro have certainly shown that he's certainly capable of that. Of course, he's already a full international for France. Scored his first international goal for France in a friendly against England. The 3-2 win at the Stade de France earlier this season. That was his 7th appearance. That was his first goal yet to score in an official World Cup qualifier.
Als extrems passa igual, vull dir, hem tingut un Ronaldinho que jugava per dins, hem tingut un Neymar més profund, hem repassat abans...
As for major honours at team level, he's not done too much, but that's hardly to be expected. I mean, he's only just starting out at 20, and Stade Rennais, they're not renowned for winning League One titles. I don't think they've ever won it. I'll check that statistic in a second. And Dortmund have been having a bit of a dry spell of late, but they did win the German Cup last year. And in fact, Dembélé was named Man of the Match, or Most Valuable Player, as we seem to call it these days, for the performance in the final.
És un dels equips forts d'Alemanya, que l'any passat va quedar...
It was the final that Dortmund won against Eintracht Frankfurt 2-1. Dembélé, I think, scored the opening goal for Dortmund in that game as well.
L'atemptat en l'autobús, una de les circumstàncies que també va patir Dembélé.
El Rennes vindria a ser, no sé, un Celta, una Real Societat, un equip d'aquests de mitja taula que pot aspirar, que té bons futbolistes. I, escolta'm, el teu primer any professional gairebé tots els jugadors i fins i tot cracs. Tu mires Cristiano, mires grans cracs dels últims anys, el seu primer any.
Just been doing a little checking on Stade Rennais, the club at which Dembélé turned pro 2 years ago. No, they've never been French champions, but they have won the French Cup twice, in 1965 and in 1971. And they were one of the winners of the Intertoto Cup back in the old Intertoto days in 2008. These are images that caught a lot of people by surprise earlier today when Dembélé appeared not at pitch level where expected, but up at the top there on the second tier, saluting saluting some of the fans. I didn't see that image there of he high-fived one of the fans there, and you can see how delighted he was that he'd managed to high-five Dembélé. That's a moment that he's going to remember for the rest of his life. The fan. Dembélé as well. This is certainly a day that he's going to be remembering for the rest of his life. This is a moment that he'll be remembering for the rest of his life. When he was introduced to his new locker room, his locker room he's taking from Jérémy Mathieu, his countryman who's headed off to Sporting Lisbon. In fact, this just made me think, of course, I was saying earlier on that when was the last time there were 3 French players in the Barca squad? Of course, there were last year. Jérémy, I forgot about you. Jérémy Mathieu was in the squad with Digne and Umtiti. So I correct myself for my shameful oversight there. So now we have 3 French players in the squad again. This man, you can see in the image, Ousmane Dembélé, here seen putting on his socks, putting on his boots, putting on his kit, ready to go out before the Camp Nou for his presentation as an FC Barcelona player.
Careta de Neymar i de jugadors com Rivaldo, Overmars o bé tota la llista que hem destacat abans de jugadors. I aquest ha estat el moment en què sortia al túnel de vestidors jugant amb molta tranquil·litat amb la pilota.
Fixa't, això.
Sí, baixant les escales.
Parlant amb José Manuel Lázaro del Departament de Comunicació i aquest moment amb més de 18.000 persones que s'han apropat al Camp Nou, tothom cridant, tothom dempeus. El que ha dit el Xus Carrillo tenia raó, jo m'he fixat. Ningú s'ha quedat assegut, tothom s'ha aixecat amb els mòbils fent fotografies, cridant el nom de Dembélé, ell fent tocs, aquí fent filigranes, no s'ha limitat a fer els clàssics tocs de pilota, sinó que ha fet detalls de virtuosisme que si no et surt bé pots fer el ridícul, perquè jo he vist alguna presentació, recordo una pobra.
Okay, we're getting live coverage once again here inside the... sorry, this isn't live coverage, this is recorded coverage. I'm just seeing a tweet here from Sid Lowe. This Dembélé coverage is very, very funny. Well, I'm glad that you're enjoying the coverage here. Someone here laughed my off when the commentators talked about Game of Thrones. And that wedding stuff, marvellous. Yeah, well, it has been 3 hours. It is starting to get difficult, hard to work out what we're supposed to say. Here we're getting images now once again of Dembélé in a little kick around with the young lads from FCB Escola. But I'm delighted to see that some of you are enjoying this coverage. I wasn't really proposing this to be funny, but I'm glad that it's causing some amusement to some of you people out there. I don't want to look any more at that tweet that Sid Lowe has published, because somebody may put something like Game of Thrones there. We don't want to know what happened. Oh, I've already seen stuff on Facebook today, and it was apparently an absolute cracker last night, and my sister has published something horrible on Facebook that I think is a spoiler. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. So, to fill you in on what's going on, the time here in Barcelona is 3:20, and we've got the media conference coming up very soon. It's going to be coming live from the Auditori 1890 now, the Auditori 1899. Still don't know who's going to be appearing with Ousmane. I keep saying Dembélé, because I still don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. I believe it's Dembélé, but it sounds a bit pretentious saying it that way somehow. Dembélé is what they're calling him in the Catalan and Spanish press.
És una cosa dinàmica, vull dir, les coses hi ha jugadors que han de marxar, hi ha altres que han d'arribar, i això és llei de vida.
But we're going to be getting live coverage from the 1899 Auditori very shortly. These are images now again of Dembélé collecting his Audi car. I'm going to have to admit to my shame of knowledge of cars, otherwise I'd explain the surely wonderful technical features of this vehicle. I don't know much about cars, so I can't even tell you what make that is. I'm ashamed, I'm embarrassed, I should know, and I don't. I'm not really much of a car person. I'm sure there are people screaming at their screens at the moment saying, no, that's obviously an Audi, whatever, but I don't know much about cars. So here are the images of Dembélé kicking balls into the stands. I always wonder what I would do if the ball got kicked into the stands. You know, there's a little kid next to you and he catches it. Would you, or, you know, it's between you and him to catch the ball. You know, would you gently let him take it, or would you do the naughty thing and just grab it and take it? I don't know. I mean, I know one of the big thrills, I think, of everybody that goes to football matches is, you know, when the ball gets kicked into the stands and it lands in your hands, and that's something that I'd always wanted to happen. And it was a few years ago when I was in my 40s when that finally came true. It was watching my team Exeter City playing away to Oxford, and the ball got kicked into the stands straight into my hands. It finally happened. The ball came into my hands, and you know, then you throw the ball back onto the pitch, and you think, well, that's one of my childhood dreams had come true at Oxford's ground. That ground in the middle of nowhere. I doubt there's any Oxford fans listening in, but there may be. And if you, wow, that was a trek to get to your ground that day. But anyway, we are digressing. Let's get back to FC Barcelona, because the time is now 24 minutes past 3, and any moment now we're going to be bringing you live coverage of the last instalment of today's itinerary, which is the media conference, which was originally scheduled to take place at 2:30, so we're about an hour behind schedule, but we do seem to have managed to get things moving at last, so I'm sure it will only just be a matter of moments before we'll be going to the 1899 Auditori for the media conference.
Ja has vist que Marc Brau també té futur de speaker del Camp Nou, perquè Déu-n'hi-do com ha animat el públic amb les declaracions.
My colleagues are talking about here is Marc Brau, who's the guy from, he's their colleague, my colleague as well, from Barca TV, and he did a bit of the Master of Ceremonies part there, because he is very good at French. So he was out doing the translating, very nicely translated by him, although it was actually quite easy for even someone who doesn't particularly speak French to understand, to work out what was being said. And they're just commentating on what a good job that our colleague Mark did as the Master of Ceremonies. Now, as you can see, we've got images inside the 1899 Auditori, which is where it's all going to be happening in a moment. Is that Dembélé down there? I thought we saw a glimpse of Robert Fernandez as well. So we're going to be getting the press conference starting any second now. Yeah, there's Robert Fernandez, the director of football at the club. Perhaps it's going to be him that's going to be... Okay, we're going live now, so I'll put on my translation voice. As usual, Josep Maria Bartomeu, the president, will be speaking. We're going to have to wait a few moments for a change of venue. So, Ousmane Dembélé being welcomed onto the stage in the company of Josep Maria Bartomeu, who's going to speak first.
Bé, bon dia. Benvinguts a l'Auditori 1899.
Welcome to the 1899 auditorium. It's my honor to be here for this presentation at FC Barcelona of Ousmane Dembélé. And now he's saying in French, basically welcoming the player and saying how welcome he is in the city of Barcelona and at the club. He's a player that we've been watching for several seasons. At the end of last season, we were speaking to his club. We finally reached an agreement. I think the media has already told you it was a proposal, a bid of 105 million plus 40 in add-ons was the agreement we came to with Borussia Dortmund. And it's a 5-year contract that he has signed. So, having welcomed the player, he's saying what a competitive team we now have, that we've managed to add this player to the mix, and we hope he can bring a lot of success. He's handing the word over to Ousmane. I'm very happy to be here in Barcelona. Thank you to the president. He's come here to win titles. He's looking forward to integrating into the team and doing everything he can possible. Now we're looking for a shirt. Of course, we've already seen him wearing the shirt earlier on, but now it's the official handover of the shirt with O Dembélé written there. Note the 2 accents on the E's. Which is going to make things tricky for writing on computers. For those of you that don't have the accent tool, but you should get the accents right. Dembélé. And I'm not sure what's happening regarding the media conference, whether it's going to move into the Ricard Marchen's press room or whether it's going to continue here, because something was said about a change of venue. Here's Dembélé with his family. All smiles, as you would expect on a monumentous day like this. Now being joined by various members of the FC Barcelona board and staff. You can see Robert Fernandez there, the director of sport. Who, of course, would have played a large part in the dealing that has brought the player here. We tend to insist here at the club not to explain how things were negotiated, who was to thank, who wasn't to thank. Valverde was asked himself about this the other day, what part he had played in the signing, and he denied
Com hem
that it was
vist,
anyone in
les
particular. It was
paraules
more
en
of
aquesta
a
presentació
club
del
signing. That's what he
president
preferred
Josep Maria
to
Bartomeu
say.
ha estat donant-li la
It does
benvinguda
look like
i
we're going to
ha
be
tornat a
moving across to
expressar
the press
l'il·lusió que
room
li
now.
fa
So I
començar amb
thought
aquesta
they had perhaps
nova
tried to
etapa,
double
amb aquesta
up
etapa
one
blaugrana
event
que li
with the
espera,
other, but
esperem
it
plena
seems
d'èxit
not. We're going to go
i
into the press
recordem
room
que està
for
tan
the
il·lusionat perquè
next
és un
part
somni que
of
des de
this
ben petit tenia poder
proceedings.
arribar al conjunt blaugrana. Com podeu veure, ara estan
By the
començant
looks
ja
of things, though, we're going to be
a
using the
canviar tot
same
l'escenari
backdrop.
per procedir en aquesta roda de premsa i nosaltres
So this
estarem
backdrop is
molt
being
pendents del que succeeixi, de totes les
dismounted and is
preguntes
going to be
i
taken
després
into the
us farem
Ricard
un
Machen's
resum
press
de
room, I assume,
què ha estat
where
el
things
més
are going to
destacat que ha
continue
dit
with
tant el
things being
jugador
left
com el
in the
president
hands
Josep Maria Bartomeu.
of the media.
Perfecte, Maria. De seguida doncs, que comenci aquesta roda de premsa.
Okay, so we'll be bringing you live coverage of that media conference very shortly. I thought that was the media conference. It wasn't. That was the official handover of the shirt and
al Camp Nou per veure Dembélé,
words
la seva
from
presentació del nou fitxatge
Mr.
del Barça per les
Bartomeu,
pròximes
the
5
club
temporades. Ara s'ha pogut
president.
veure el moment de la samarreta al costat del president del Barça, la fotografia ja oficial amb la seva nova família, com deia la Maria Catany, del Barça, i la seva família també, que està vivint aquest moment, segur que amb molta il·lusió, perquè veiem a la seva mare, per exemple, que quan ell tenia 13 anys es va mudar fins a Rennes.
One of them has gone. There were 3 before, there's only 2. One of them, it was the guest who's from one of the local radio stations. He's obviously had to leave.
Tens molta raó, Judit, perquè sovint parlem dels pares com a elements una mica tòxics en el futbol base. No? Aquests pares que volen que el seu fill sigui Messi, aquests pares que volen que l'entrenador els posi, però els pares també fan molts sacrificis. Vull dir que els pares sovint...
What they're talking about is the role that the parents play in the upbringing of players, and it's not an easy situation, and you never know how things are going to turn out in the long run. You know, it's a big risk to invest any kind of sporting career or career of any kind in the arts or such like, where you never really know if things are going to work out or not. I just became a father myself 3 months ago, so it's a problem that I'm going to have to deal with too. Little William.
Sí, no, està clar, i va poder tenir la sort d'anar...
But Judith was talking about how nice it is for the fact that the family were there as well for Dembélé. It does show, and it's a way of honouring by the player the role that they have played in getting in their son getting where they are, where he is today.
Amb un discurs de venir a guanyar molts títols, és un jugador que ve amb molta alegria, que fa alegria i que transmet alegria ell també de poder estar aquí i amb molta fam de títols i de tenir moltes ganes sobretot d'adaptar-se ràpid a l'equip, que és una cosa que pel que sembla s'adaptarà ràpid per ser tan intel·ligent i per tenir sobretot aquesta qualitat.
And again, reiterating what was said before about him being a very intelligent young man. That's a word that's been said time and time again this morning, that Ousmane Dembélé is a very intelligent guy that took his studies seriously. He always wanted to be a footballer, probably always looked like he was going to be a footballer, but also got an education. He's a bright little spark, and how important that is as well. It's nice to also have someone who's so polite. Everybody has said that he's a lovely young guy, and I don't think they're just saying it for the cameras. I think they really mean it. In fact, when you see him, he looks like a nice guy. You know, he's the kind of guy that you'd like to sit down, have a drink with, have a chat with. Probably struggle with the language barrier a little bit, but you'd enjoy being in his company. I think he looks like a really nice kind of person. You can sort of tell in people's smiles, can't you? You know, and there's something nice about his smile. And really looking forward to hearing the media conference in hopefully not long from now, because it's going to give us the chance perhaps to hear his response to a few other questions, because all we've really heard him say so far are the normal routine. I'm delighted to be at Barcelona. It's a dream come true, and I hope to do the best I can and win lots of titles. Yeah, we know that, and it's great to hear that said. But the media, they're very good at picking different questions that hopefully we can try and dig more into his personality. So hopefully we'll get to see a bit of that in the media conference. I always like it when they test the players with interesting questions that perhaps not just the routine ones where you already know what he's going to say. It's a lot more fun to get the press asking those not controversial, but just more interesting questions. I like to know his opinions about other things. I mean, does he watch Game of Thrones? Oh, be nice to know. We're getting images again here of what we saw not long ago. This is Dembélé with his family, and Bartomeu obviously isn't his family. There they are. They've come in from France today. This is in the Auditori 1899. It's just across the road from the Ricard Machenk's press room, which is where the press are waiting now for the media conference that I promise isn't going to take much longer to get underway.
El Barça ha començat bé la Lliga, 6 puntets, tenim 2 més que el Madrid, hem començat sense encaixar gols, a poc, paciència, Valverde és un gran entrenador, deixem-li treballar, jo crec que té bones peces, també és bo que tingui aquesta ambició de dir no em conformo amb el que tinc, un altre entrenador podria dir no, jo amb el que tinc ja estic perfecte, diu no, vull un equip amb nivell per guanyar-ho tot, i és que el Barça ho ha de guanyar tot, ho ha d'intentar guanyar tot, tot i que no cada any no ens hem de tornar bojos i si no fem triplet cremar-ho tot, calma, però és veritat que el Barça té aquesta autocrítica que jo crec que ens ha fet grans sempre. Vull dir, no hem de perdre aquesta autocrítica, encara que a vegades siguem com germans que ens estem barallant i que ens tirem els plats pel cap. Però ens hem d'estimar i hem de seguir sent culers encara que no ho guanyem tot. No ens podem apuntar només quan hem guanyat la Lliga i la Champions. Ara més que mai la gent ha d'estar aquí amb el Barça i si avui hi ha hagut 18.000 persones al dia de l'Espanyol, això està ple, estigui Dembélé o estigui qui sigui. Però jo estic convençut que estarà Dembélé i que aquest primer partit contra l'Espanyol, no sé si serà titular, però segur que debutarà, estic convençut.
I tu tens ganes...
So, if you're still with us, it's not long now until the media conference starts.
Un mínim d'adaptació de conèixer Ernesto Valverde.
It was scheduled to begin at 2:30. Here we are now inside the... We're back inside the Auditori. That's curious. I thought we were going to be going to the press room. I thought that was the reason. But no, actually we're in the same place. We're in the same venue. But there's been a bit of redecoration going on to get it ready for the press.
Col·locats esperant d'aquí, em diuen que d'aquí molt poc començarà aquesta roda de premsa on podrem sentir més extensament.
So yeah, that was a bit of a surprise, that really, but it's all part of the fun and games. We're still in the Auditori 1899. We've had a change of scenery, change of seats, and this is where the media conference is going to be starting very, very shortly. A lot of cameras there.
Del Barça i que per ell era un somni. Ara podem tenir l'oportunitat de sentir-lo, sobretot tinc ganes de sentir-lo parlant del seu joc, no? Que ens tregui alguns dubtes, de ser més còmode.
És dretau, és esquerrà, que jo he dit molt contundament.
Far less cameramen, one assumes they work automatically, I suppose. The thing's ready to start now. Just checking the microphones down there. We've got the media conference beginning. And I can say this, I think, with all certainty now, any minute now.
Sí, però al final no ens enganyem. És polivalent, però és un davanter.
There's the image up there of that we've been using on the website and that lots of other websites seem to be using as well. Little tea leaves of Ousmane Dembélé.
Una altra possibilitat, que juguem 4-2-3-1. Encara no ho ha fet Valverde, però tothom insisteix en aquesta idea.
One thing we don't seem to have been getting this year at presentations is the presentation of the pictures. These people were giving little caricature portraits to the players last season. That seems to have been stopped for some reason, which is a shame, I think, because it's always quite nice looking at the pictures. And sometimes assessing the artistic merit of some of them. Dare I say, were a little questionable sometimes. So it's buzzing in the press room. Buzzing in the press room as it was buzzing on the terraces earlier on. These are the pictures of what were confirmed as 17,000 people inside the camp now to watch the presentation of Ousmane Dembélé. Originally, the plan was just to open the normal section of the part that's open to guests normally, but it's so bewilderingly, amazingly, staggeringly huge was the response in the end. Rather than the plan to have limited seating, I think someone decided, I'll just let them all in. Wonderful. And the whole of that second tier was packed with something in the region of 17,000 people. Some were just here on the tour anyway, but obviously the vast majority of them had come along specially to enjoy this historic 28th of August.
Té un marge de millora en l'aspecte combinatiu, en entendre's amb el lateral. Per exemple, com s'entendrà amb Semedo...
These are images of Dembélé when he was meeting some of the special needs guests that had come along to watch his presentation.
I fins i tot amb Iniesta fent triangles, això es fa a base de partits. No podem esperar que el primer dia ja vinga, sense mirar-se s'entengui.
I think we can safely say that this has been one of the best attended presentations of a player for a long time. I'm trying to think when we had something like this before. Ibrahimovic maybe. When he first came, I mean, there was a lot of expectation. Things didn't perhaps work out as well as would have hoped, but when he originally came, there was huge expectations for his presentation.
Per mi el millor de Dembélé no és el que ha fet, que està molt bé, sinó el que farà.
For Neymar Jr. there was as well, but he was still relatively unknown when he arrived, coming from Brazil. He'd come from Santos, so perhaps the expectation wasn't quite as big as Dembélé is a player that the locals have seen in the Champions League. People here, of course, watch the Champions League. We don't really watch that much of the Libertadores.
Quan torni ja podran preparar el partit contra l'Espanyol amb Leo Messi i l'hem vist doncs veient els aficionats a la gespa del terreny de joc amb aquesta naturalitat, tranquil·litat, amb aquesta seguretat que ha demostrat. Després l'hem vist a l'auditori ensenyant la seva samarreta amb el dorsal número 11, careta de Neymar. Segurament li preguntaran per tota la pressió que té al damunt, perquè el tindrem una miqueta de substitut de Neymar i s'ha que és un jugador amb característiques similars, pel que comentàvem, perquè és un extrem amb molta arribada, molt dribbling, però que té característiques diferents i a més que té només 20 anys.
Però és que això passa a la plantilla del Barça. Jordi Alba i Digne són els dos laterals esquerres. Han de complir una mateixa feina, però són diferents. I Semedo i Aleix Vidal i amb Sergi Roberto són diferents. I Piqué i Mascherano què tenen a veure? I els dos juguen de central per la dreta. Són molt diferents. I Umtiti i Vermaelen si juga o Mascherano, doncs també. I han de fer la mateixa feina, però per tant, mateixa posició no vol dir mateixes característiques. Aquesta setmana vaig tenir una entrevista molt en profunditat amb Gabri, que aprofito per dir que torna el dimarts al Promeses, ja que estem parlant tanta estona. Aquest dimarts torna al Promeses i la veurem.
He vingut a parlar del meu llibre.
No, i em deia, ara tinc una plantilla amb jugadors de característiques diferents. I algú pot pensar, home, però no són característiques Barça. Sí, són jugadors d'ADN Barça, però l'any passat tenia jugadors més profuns, més ràpids, més determinants de dalt, i ara tinc jugadors més d'associació, més petits, amb més qualitat tècnica. Per què? Perquè tu no tens una fàbrica de xurros que et surten els jugadors. No, cada generació són diferents, cada jugador és diferent. Tu tens 3 laterals drets i els 3 són diferents. Un és més ràpid, l'altre juga més per dins, l'altre centra millor, i per tant no és Neymar. Té algunes coses de Neymar? Sí. S'assembla a Neymar? Per mi sí, perquè és el segon jugador que més dribla, és el jugador que més assistències dona, sí, però són diferents.
Okay, I hope you'll forgive me. I just had a little rest there, just resting the voices. This has been going on quite a while now. We're going on to, well, we're into the 4th hour of coverage, but it's all drawing to an end soon. These are live images now from inside the Auditori 1899.
I té la seva personalitat, de fet ho deia Bruno Alemany, se'ns fa difícil veure un altre jugador idèntic a ell, però aquesta és la gràcia, que té la seva personalitat, que té el seu carisma, que té les seves característiques especials diferents.
So let's see what's happening. There's the seat water. There's 2 bottles of water there, so Mr. Sherlock here has worked out that means there's going to be 2 people sitting there. Will it be Bartomeu? Will it be Jordi Mestre? Will it be Robert Fernandez? We don't know. We're going to find out very soon. Somebody is going to be sitting in the seat alongside Dembélé. Or could it be a translator even? I hope so.
Ara que veiem el nom, Ousmane, no? S'escriu, és curiós, però el francès hi ha moltes lletres sordes i no es pronuncia ni la primera ni l'última. Ni la O ni la E es pronuncia. Que ningú escrigui Ousmane amb la U i la N final, perquè no, s'escriu així, Ousmane, però es pronuncia Ousmane.
My colleagues there are talking about the pronunciation of Ousmane. The O at the start and the E at the end are silent. It's not Ousmane or anything like it's Ousmane. Ousmane. And they're talking about things like, is it Alcácer or Alcácer, Digne, Dignier? So they're talking about the Ousmane, which is Ousmane, is the O and the E silent. I have more of a problem with the surname though myself. It's the Dembélé bit. Dembélé. In French, it's Dembélé. Something like Dembélé. It's quite hard, to render that. Obviously you can't. We're very delighted that we have signed Dembélé. You can't. It's a very different register, French to English. So you do have to Hispanicize or Catalanize or Anglicize the names to make them roll off the tongue correctly in English. But I don't know. Are we going to go for Dembélé or Dembélé in English? I guess that will just come with time. Although I think we're still struggling to work out how to pronounce Digne's name. Dignier. Okay, the young lady's getting things ready. A bit more water. Certainly thirsty work, this. Getting the desks ready. There's some more water coming out.
Hem pogut sentir alguna petita declaració explicant una miqueta la il·lusió que té per jugar.
Well, one thing's for sure, they're not going to get thirsty anyway.
La il·lusió per guanyar molts títols amb el Barça i ara esperem sentir ja més extensament el nou fitxatge del Barça de 20 anys, que fem un repàs ràpid, arriba del Borussia Dortmund, fitxa per 5 temporades amb una clàusula de 400 milions, un dels fitxatges més engrescadors de la temporada, que ha aixecat gran expectació al Camp Nou, amb més de 17.000 persones que li han vingut a donar la benvinguda. Ara mateix al Camp Nou ja no queda ningú, un cop ha marxat Ousmane Dembélé, ha marxat tothom. Estàvem nosaltres al Gol Sud, on continuem ara mateix, i aquí el Gol Sud s'ha omplert tota la
the quotes that are going to be emblazoned across the sports pages tomorrow. Well, it's the internet age. The quotes that are going to be emblazoned across the sports pages straight away because it's the internet era now. Okay, so our presenter's back again. Let's see what she's got to say. We're going to be doing the media presentation of Ousmane Dembélé as an FC Barcelona player. The new young French striker who signed for 5 seasons. And he's going to be joined by Robert Fernandez, the technical secretary. Just thanking everybody for being here, Dembélé especially. Welcome to Barca. Saying the same in French. He's come from Borussia Dortmund. 105 million euros plus add-ons on a 5-year contract. And to get a better idea of his qualities, we're going to listen to Robert Fernandez. Hello, good afternoon. Sorry about the delay. There have been a few difficulties, but we're here now. And we're ready to talk about whatever you want to ask us about. Ousmane, welcome to the club. And thanks to the people who've made this signing possible. We hope you can help us to win trophies and that you can help your new teammates We've been really looking forward to you coming here. We wish you every success. He's only 20 years old. He's already made an impact on his previous teams, Borussia Dortmund, and in France with Stade Rennais. Before that, he led the Bundesliga for solo runs.